Affirmative.
After the flow of excitement at Gordon Brown's plans to save the world, the ebb of disappointment caused by scrutinising his proposals. Yesterday he promised that Britain, in its Britishness, would put Britons at the forefront of the race to protect the planet from boiling in a soup of its own effluent, or something like that. The Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change, which is actually against climate change, explained in measured tones that we're doomed unless we mend our wicked ways straight a bloomin' way. We have until 2015 to get our emissions on a declining path, or Essex will drown and Hackney will be a seaside resort. So Gordon Brown, seizing his chance to write his name into the history books as the visionary leader we need to take us, Pied Piper-like, to a more mild and pleasant dawn, not too hot, not too wet, mustn't grumble, he set forth his plans with a lot of I'm gonnas. I'm gonna escalate renewable energy, increase carbon capture, improve recycling. Oh, good, we thought. A strong, decisive leader, not afraid to make unpopular decisions for the greater good. But wait, unpopular decisions, decisions that might prove unpopular? Well, that's not gonna happen. He then appeared to do the impossible, to backtrack while he seemed to be going forwards, like a Michael Jackson moonwalk. All of those plans were just ideas that might be ready for action at some future date, long after he's no longer in power. Let some other dope carry the can for it. All that's needed now is to say he's going to do something. We'll all breathe a sigh of relief at a job well done and go back to laughing at Heather McCartney. He did make one pledge, though. He promised to look at, disapproving of, the plastic shopping bag. This disapproval could lead to action at some point in the near future, or distant future, or it might not. And that point he wants to make absolutely clear. Hey, you know, I was talking the other day about the congestion charge. On and on and on and on and on and on and on I was going. Well, somebody has been thinking that too. I swear they've been listening to this show. The power of this programme. A gadget that automatically pays the £8 a day congestion charge each time a motorist enters the zone is unveiled today. Hooray!
I can't believe it took this long.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were talking about it, what, last week? Days it took them. Its creator says it will save thousands of drivers a penalty if they forget to pay the charge. It could also severely dent the revenue made by Transport for London from fines. The value of those issued each year is £95 million. You're doing your sound effects now. You expected it, but it didn't come. That's like lip cinching.
Mm-hmm. Just like
dubbed the Ken Buster in honour of Mayor Ken Livingstone, who had the lack of judgment to have himself photographed in an Indian altogether. Did you see him dressed in his green silks the other day, sitting cross-legged on the floor?
Why does he make a show of himself like that?
I don't know. He launched the congestion charge in 2003. Boo, everybody boo, hiss. The device that has just been invented uses satellite tracking to monitor a driver's car. As soon as it enters the charging zone, the unit sends a signal to the service centre, which dispatches a congestion charge payment the same day. The money is then deducted from the driver's debit or credit card, and a text message is sent to their mobile phone confirming payment. What could be better than that, right? Motorists can also receive a text message at 8 o'clock each day confirming whether or not a charge has been made. It's so simple you wonder why it hasn't been done before, said the inventor, Matthew McCluskey, 28. Isn't that irritating when people much, much younger than you come up with brilliant ideas, and by this time next year they're going to be millionaires? Like, I thought of it, but that was the end of my action on the matter. Just thinking about it made me exhausted. He went ahead and did it. He has funded development with the proceeds from his former fund management job in the city. The idea came to him when he was listening to Nick Abbott on LBC.
Does it say? Why does it say that?
No, it doesn't say that, no. The idea came to him while having a bath. He said, "It was my Archimedes moment. I just had returned from holiday and I'd driven to the airport on the day, but I forgot to pay the charge. I came back to yet another £100 fine and suddenly thought, why not devise a satellite navigation device that not only knows when you've entered the zone, but makes sure the toll is paid so you'll never get fined again." Genius.
All the best ideas come to you in the bathroom.
Yes. About a third of Transport for London's income comes from fines.
And what do they do with it?
That
exactly?
is shocking.
And they budget for that, don't they?
I've no idea.
That's not a surprise amount of money.
Oh, no, I would imagine not, no. Transport for London said, oh, no, it's not.
And they pour it back into,
their own furniture and fact-finding missions to India, you know, all of that sort of thing.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say, you know, better roads and traffic kind of movement. You know.
What a sense of humour. You should have your own show. Transport for London said, we are not aware of any device that automatically pays the congestion charge, and this company has not approached us. And you can see the frown on their face as they said it. A third of their income comes from fines. No wonder they haven't made it easy for us to pay this thing, because they would put them out of business if we could. They want to make it as hard as possible. Why are all these people calling me?
Are you doing a radio phone-in show?
Oh, that. Let's have... You're not answering them, so shall I do it straight away?
Please.
What, you having a quick relax?
Yeah.
Well, it's gone brown. I don't like brown.
Oh.
Why's it gone brown?
What have you done?
I
Have you
don't
got where's your yellow box?
What, sorry?
Your yellow box. Where's that?
My yellow box.
Is that up by the handset sign?
The hell's she talking about, Alex?
You see, down on the bottom left of the screen, there's a yellow rectangle.
Down on the bottom left of the screen, there's a rectangle. Yes.
It's yellow.
Yellow.
It should be in the...
On air.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, did that now.
Should be in there.
Right.
Oh, it doesn't matter now, they're gone. Try another one.
No, we'll start the show again, shall we? After the flow of excitement at Gordon Brown's plans to save the world, the ebb of disappointment caused by scrutinising his proposals. Oh, blimey, somebody stop me. Let's have... and now you've taken them all and I can't get them. Good grief. Take as long as you like, dear. The,
All yours.
Inland Revenue... No, that's all right. The Inland Revenue... I was listening to Paul Ross while I was coming in, and he was very exercised by this issue about the Inland Revenue having lost 25 million people's details, their bank details and where they live and, you know, what they have on toast and all the rest of that insidious information that the government keeps on us. Child benefit details, that's what they lost. 25 million people's details packed on 2 compact discs. And the first and only thing, really, that occurred to me about this was... Isn't that fantastic? They can fit 25 million people's details on 2 compact discs.
You geek.
Modern technology. Isn't it fantastic, Jethro?
Oh, it's brilliant, isn't it? But I think the truly amazing thing is just how much advanced government civil servants' thinking is in terms of, you know, of catching up with our sophisticated society.
What?
Because, well, let me explain, because I'll explain what I'm trying to say. It's all right. You're not upset, are you?
No, just confused. Go ahead.
No, well, because what did they do? They downloaded all the information onto 2 CDs from
Yeah, how did they do that, by the way? I mean, they'd have to speak really quickly. I mean, a CD can only store 70 minutes worth of sound, so they'd have to talk really fast.
Well, I don't understand these things. I'm a technophobe. I'm not a techno nerd.
Right.
So, you know, I find the abacus difficult to cope with, let alone an Intel computer processor with a double overhead camshaft engine, you know, pulsating through it. I mean,
Bing bong, bing bong.
Yeah, all that stuff is, you know, drafts is my intellectual limit as far as...
Grass?
Drafts.
Oh, I thought you said grass.
Want to score some pot?
No, I don't. It's illegal. Don't be stupid.
Oh, they're, by the way, thinking of, or the police is now demanding a reclassification of marijuana from Class... Oh, help me out here. Class C to Class B. Now, it used to be Class B for ever and a day, right? Since the 60s onwards, since they realised that people were smoking it.
Because you know what happens when you smoke pot or grass or marijuana or Mary Jane, what happens to call it? Do you know what happens to you?
you start liking Pink Floyd music.
Yeah, you get stoned.
Right.
And that's why you get things like the Doors song "Stoned Immaculate," because it changes your mental condition into an altered state of consciousness.
So now they want to have it reclassified from a C to a B.
Yeah.
Because since the 60s, having it classified as a Class B drug meant that nobody took it, because that was the strong message being sent out by the government.
Yeah.
How is the war on drugs going, by the way?
Fabulous.
Nothing makes any sense to me at all. I'm going to have you hold right there.
Hold me.
Yeah, hold yourself.
This is Bill Buckley. You want me to straddle over an advertisement sector or a news sector?
Well, what you do with Bill in the privacy of your own squalid lounge.
It's his terminology, not
is
mine.
neither here nor there.
I'll just go into pause.
I don't wish to shine a spotlight on it. It's 7:15. Here's Travel Now with Alan Joyce.
Thanks, Nick. The A20 in Eltham is still closed in both directions between Burnt Ash Hill and Kidbrook Park Road.
Abbott.
Well, let's get back to it.
By the way, is the blessed Lorraine Kelly going to be part of the cabinet? Because they seem to be signing up people from GMTV or are desperate to do that because they're still popular. So they want the gold glint of popularity to come from the GMTV sofa to Gordon Brown's cold and forbidding leadership. And they've all said no. Didn't Fiona Phillips, Foster,
yeah.
somebody like that?
Yeah.
No, not Fiona Foster. Fiona Foster I used to work with.
Fiona Phillips.
Fiona Phillips, yeah. And they wanted her to be Home Secretary or something, didn't they?
Yeah, or Deputy Prime Minister, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
I'll vote for her, I have to say.
Yes. Anyway, let's get back to it. In this case, being Jethro Tull.
She would fit in.
No, she wouldn't.
She would fit in.
No, she wouldn't.
Well, she's got the three very important things going for her in favour of fitting in with the current cabinet.
Go on.
A, she's Scottish.
Right.
B, she's a woman. And C, she's got great natural gifts.
Oh, blimey. My life passed before my eyes for a moment there. Gifts, you say?
Great natural gifts,
Yeah, huge they are.
The same as what Jackie, as you say, Jackie Smith has got.
Jackie. Hello, Jackie.
Yeah, so they would...
Not Jacqueline. Jackie.
Jackie.
Yeah.
I don't know, perhaps it is Jacqueline. Anyway, she's very highly educated, Jackie Smith, because she went to Oxford, I think.
I don't doubt it.
You know, and she obviously has got the capacity to represent the working classes of this people, because you've got to remember the Labour Party is a working class representative party.
Is it?
Well, it should be, shouldn't it? It's Labour.
Yeah.
The labouring classes.
Hmm.
And they all happen to be ex-Oxford and Cambridge middle-class graduates.
Yeah.
Obviously, have got great understanding and knowledge from a personal subjective point of view of the experiential sufferings of the working class of this country.
Yes, of toiling at the pit face,
Yeah, the
or in
pit
fact
face.
Toiling at any sort of work. No, none of them do.
Turning the sod.
All they've ever done is climb the greasy pole of politics, which is just sucking up a lot.
And being genuinely interested in the plight of the working class in the various rundown areas of our great and wonderful nation.
Yeah.
Which obviously the main problem that we face nowadays is, and it's been highlighted by our great wonderful Prime Minister this week, is the disposing of plastic bags.
Yes.
It's the most important imperative subject that's facing our country at the moment.
Well, I don't do a lot of greenery. I mean, I won't pretend to be green in any way, but I have switched from those placky bags that you get given to buying them, 10p ones.
Yeah.
And I do feel a warm glow of superiority every time I do it. Superiority in relation to my former self.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am actually saving the planet.
You're an improved person
In every way, yeah.
in terms of your consciousness of your relationship with Mother Earth.
Right.
I would imagine, anyway.
Yeah.
Do you ever get... You talk, so you're not green at all?
Well,
When
no,
you're
not really.
Never green. Evergreen or never green? Are you a holly, or are you a... what's those plants... We call plants that die?
Oak.
Oak.
Yeah, the mighty British oak.
Yeah, deciduous tree.
Yes.
Sheds its leaves in winter, whereas the holly and the ivy don't.
Well, okay, I wouldn't change my holiday plans because I'm going to burn the sky. If I want to go to Thailand, I'm going to go to Thailand, and I'm not going to row there, so by plane is the only way to get there. I refuse, absolutely, point blank, to use those horrible lights in my lamps, because the light they give off...
oh, you mean the low-energy bulbs?
Yeah, they wouldn't even put up with it at the labour exchange.
Oh, right.
And I don't...
What's your methane footprint like?
Excuse me?
Your methane footprint.
I don't know.
I think we need to look at our methane footprint, if that's the right word to use, at the end.
Hey, Helen, come in here and check my methane footprint.
I'm all right, thanks.
Because I think I'm going to need to give up baked beans and Brussels sprouts so that my methane footprint is not detrimental to the world's well-being.
Right. And stop calling this show.
Can you do, you know, saving the world apart and all that kind of thing, unless we're doomed, you know, without any hope whatsoever. Can we do a little bit of play acting?
Oh, okay. Who will you be?
Well, I want to be either Phil Jupitus or the other guy on what's it called? Never mind the Boscocks. And
Right.
you can be...
I don't know that programme, but go on.
Oh, you must know that programme.
I'm afraid not, no.
Because you're a rock and roll giant of knowledge.
Well, questions about pop music?
Yeah,
Oh, gosh, that sounds interesting.
Boring!
Oh, God, you've killed it dead already before it even started. I'm not going to do it now, then. I'm so upset. I'm going to go back to congestion charge, then.
No. What were you going to do? You wanted me to be Phil Jupitus.
Well, I know, I want to be
How
Phil
does he
Jupitus,
sound?
or the other guy whose name's Bill Bryson, or Bill Bowman, or Bill Bryden, or something. The
Bill
one with
Bryson?
I don't know what his
The
name is.
writer?
Yeah, no, I know, but he's a team captain who's opposite Phil Jupitus
It could possibly be Bill Bryson. Bill Bryson, the writer of Notes from a Small Island.
Yeah, and...
No, it can't be. The author...
He's some comedian. He's some comedic talent.
Bailey. Bill Bailey.
Bill Bailey.
Oh, finally we get there. I couldn't be either of those two. I've got no idea what either sounds like.
Or looks like. Well, Phil Jupitus is fat and sort of London sounding in his voice, and is
Right.
quite amusing. And Bill Bailey is kind of wild and wacky, kind of West Country man with a balding head and looks like a dwarf out of what's that thing that
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, exactly. Yeah.
And you want me to pick one of those and we'll play act?
I'll be one of
What are you
those, and you'll be one of the special guests of the week.
Right.
And I'm going to hum a tune to you, and you've got to guess which one it is. You need don't do anything outside of your work except sleep and eat and watch boring...
No, I don't. I feel like I'm on a treadmill that I can't get off. Every day comes another show. Oh, no. Over and over and over it goes. And like a journalist faced with a blank piece of paper on a daily basis, there's never anything to show for it. Because you pour your heart out into it, straining and sweating at work, and then when you're finished, it's disappeared into the ether.
Yeah, but you've altered the consciousness of millions of people, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Tens.
Because they are looking serious, even though despite your cynical attitude towards global warming and all this kind of thing, and the fact that you probably think that what we can do here in England is not a massive amount.
None
The
at
Chinese,
all.
the Indians, the Americans,
Correct.
the Brazilians,
Yes,
and the
we're
Malaysians,
screwed.
the Indonesians, and the Taiwanese, and
All of those
Kazakhstanis are all pouring out tons and tons of carbon.
Yes. Everybody wants a flat screen TV, yes.
Yeah, everyone wants a flat screen TV and a brand new Mercedes every 2 years, and headphones, and all the latest designer gears, and they want to save the world at the same time, which is probably...
And they want everything to be half the price that it was last year.
Yeah.
Yes. Quite right, too.
And it's trying to balance that with saving the planet and the rainforest.
You can't do it.
No, probably not. Unless we alter us, quite drastically.
Yeah, well, we won't. Because
the only way
nobody...
to do that is if Ken Livingstone had total power and total control, and then...
We're not going to...
authoritarian leadership would be led into a new millennium of happiness, peace...
Quiet. We're not going to change our behaviour. We won't. Because we don't want to. We want it to be done, but we don't want it to actually affect the way we lead our lives.
You mean we don't want to make any personal sacrifices?
Yes, exactly. Yes,
okay.
Precisely. And we're going to have to make enormous personal sacrifices. We'll have to basically go back to living in a cave. We'll have to turn the heat...
like that idea.
No, you wouldn't. We'll have to...
I saw 1 billion years BC with Ursula Andress or Raquel Welch. I can't remember which one.
Right, well, she won't be there, believe me.
Won't she? Oh, damn. Who will it be then? Well, it won't be... Don't tell me it's going to be either Jackie Smith or... Who's that gnarling, bald-faced kind of Labour MP that always bites the, the moral... things off of Labour MPs. What's her name?
What, with a face with a...
Claire
like a-
Short. Claire Short. Don't tell me I'm going to have to live in the cave the rest of my life with someone like Claire Short.
Yes. Now, back to this Buzzcocks thing. You want to be one person, and you want me to be another, and we'll do a play act.
Yeah.
Right, well, that's not going to work. Well, let's play Doctor and Patient. You be the patient, and I've got an instrument I'd like to introduce to you.
Right. We're talking about physiological problems or psychological problems?
Well, I think you could compile a list. We'll start with the psychological.
All
anyway,
right.
time to go.
All right. What?
Time to go.
You mean you're not going to give me a consultancy? Do you mean you're going to... I've come all the way down to your medical office and you're just going to ignore me because you think you want to go home to your Swedish wife and talk about Freud and Jung all night long, ignoring my needs as a desperate human being?
Well, as a strict Freudian, I'm sorry to say that our time is up.
Oh, it's terrible. I feel it's so unjust. Bye-bye.
It's 7:28, and there's unfortunately not quite enough time to take another call. I just couldn't stand it anymore. I just thought it might be nice to just have a period of silence. Not that I don't enjoy his call, but...
It's nice, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Bit painful.
No, not painful really, but just, combative as always. Just a bit too full on. I mean, barely half an hour into the programme. And every now and again, just to have a period of calm reflection, yeah. I mean, Radio 4 has a thought for the day. I'm having a thought right now. Ooh, so yummy.
Was it bacon?
Or was it spotted dick?
I had bacon today. Oh. You can't cook bacon enough, by the way. It must be one of the only things in the world that tastes better the more you cook it.
Yeah, it has to be crispy. Extra.
Yeah, extra crispy.
Nick Abbott.
I enjoy working with people.
Well, enjoy is a bit of a strong word. Here's Northern Ireland. Hello, Neil.
Yeah, hi, Nick. Good to hear you're more regular again.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
You and my doctor are thrilled.
Yeah, God bless the brand-based cereal. But when I was on hold, I heard that last caller. He was an extraordinary chap. What night is his show on, by the way?
Every night.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I did hear, I just came in on the end tail of the discussion about cannabis, and so I wasn't planning to talk about it, but I just did want to say that at the minute it's absolutely insane the way it's being treated and demonized again. It's like a whole new reefer madness that is really, except this time instead of people supposedly being turned on to boogie-woogie music, it's supposed to be making us schizophrenic and, it's just nonsense. It's just not true.
Well, regardless of that, and I don't really want to take any calls about marijuana, Helen, that's my direct instruction to you, but it doesn't seem to make any sense to me that, well, on several levels. First of all, the government is saying, well, we can't say that you should, that we'll downgrade it because it's sending out the wrong message. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but nobody who's smoking dope, nobody under the age of 30 years old, is looking to the government for a message on what they shouldn't be doing in their spare time.
Yeah.
Nobody's paying any attention to whatever message you give out. Pointless. And the other thing is, they tried prohibition for the longest time, from the point at which people realised that they were taking it until just recently. Well, in fact, to this point in time, prohibition has been in effect, with the result that ever more people are smoking ever more of it and buying it at ever cheaper prices. So obviously it doesn't work, but they just seem to be stuck in this corner of inaction where the mantra seems to be, if at first it doesn't, your plan of action doesn't succeed, just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again forever.
Yeah, prohibition has really had a great history. It's really worked in the past, hasn't it? So
it's never worked in any country it's ever been tried.
And if you look at the countries where they have said, okay, let's decriminalize it and control it, and make sure people, because now there is stuff that's with glass in it, and people are getting silicosis, and because they're having to go to the black market. But those countries where they are a bit more evolved, they're not showing any rise in schizophrenia or anything like that. So the stuff that the Daily Mail is trotting out is just nonsense.
Well, the bizarre truth is that since they downgraded, fewer people are smoking it in this country, which is exactly reflected in Holland, which you can pop into a coffee shop and buy the stuff, and fewer people in Holland smoke than they do here. So, I don't know. But let's not get into that, because you just go round and round and round saying the same old thing.
Actually, we're going backwards, but in Canada, the pot laws have actually been shown to be unconstitutional recently, so something seems to be happening in Canada. But I have close people to me that have severe pain conditions, and it really irritates me that they have to take, the very serious and drugs with very serious side effects to control their pain when they could take that instead. But anyway, so I'm sorry if I sidetracked your show. I just heard that guy. I was wanting to know about if you'd had a chance to watch Vivian Valiant, the recent comedy show.
Well, I tried one, and I thought, here's another British comedy that's not funny.
It's not a laugh rap, but it doesn't really intend to be. But there are very pointed and funny lines in it, and it's just the most successful satire we've had in years. I mean, there was Nathan Barley, that was awful. And before that, I can't really think. Maybe Time Trumpet by Ian Uchi, and just nothing really. There's no real point of view in British comedy at the minute. And,
right. That's a good point. Actually, it's all very surreal and superficial, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
There's nothing's being attacked. And if you look even at the sketch shows are now so formulaic. It's like. Not the fashion, Little Britain. And,
it's the comedy of repetition. It's just say something which in itself isn't very funny, but if you repeat it 100 times, then people, much like Laurel and Hardy's hats fall off, and they're going to pick up the wrong one. Yeah, and that isn't funny in itself, but because you're expecting it, and in the case of Laurel and Hardy, because of their genius, it becomes funny.
Why is there no one getting really enraged at this orthodoxy and coming in and saying, right, let's do like a Monty Python sort of show where...
Well, the truth of that might be that we've had a supposedly left-wing government for the past 10 years, and comic performers are usually from the left and ranting against the right, but they have had their powder, not so much it's got wet, but someone's nicked it from them.
Yeah. Well, it's just bizarre. I mean, it just seems that... And the really bad stuff is getting championed way beyond its level, like Ricky Gervais. I don't really see why he is seen as supposedly the funniest man in the world, and when he has had the very definition of a one-trick pony. But I've got to...
Well, the thing with Ricky Gervais was that he had the 12 episodes, which were quite perfect television comedy moments, and there lies his success and reputation. Everything else that he did couldn't reach that height, but it was a pretty high bar to set for himself.
Yeah, but everything before and after has been awful. He was in he was part of the 11 o'clock show, which I don't know if you remember, but it was horrendous. It showed a real creeping right-wing influence in British comedy again. It was very right-wing in its stance. And,
well, there's nothing wrong with right-wing or left-wing comedy. It's just whether it's funny or not is the thing.
Yeah, although I just don't buy that it's all ironic with him. He goes on about certain things a little bit too much, and...
Well, I know what you mean, yeah. Some of it doesn't sit too well with me either.
Yeah, but I have to... Actually, maybe you can give me some advice. Have you ever interviewed famous people?
Well, I used to do a breakfast show on a London station where I used to interview politicians and so on, and a few of which I can actually remember. But the one that I do recall is Kenny Everett. I interviewed him a couple of times. Huh?
Oh, yeah, no, I remember. I was very surprised there, but yeah, I remember you did it as a student or something, right?
Well, I was studying psychology, and one of the tasks that we had was to go out and interview somebody about their life, and they expected us to go and just pick a granny in the supermarket, something like that, someone that we didn't know. And I thought, because I spent most of my university years either drunk or at student radio, I thought, well, I'll go and I'll try and work from the top down. And I contacted his agent, and his agent said, yes, sure, why not?
Amazing. I didn't watch that show yet the other night. I'm kind of dreading it because I don't want to see Russell Brand chatting about Kenny Everett. It's just...
Russell Brand?
Yeah.
He's surely not old enough to remember Kenny Everett.
Well, he's like the same age as me, and I remember him, but then I've had periods where I've been a real comedy geek, so I know all this old stuff. I mean, I read the interview or the article about the show, and it was him going on about how he fancied Kenny Everett when he was in
Who?
Stupid stunt mode. And I thought, this is all he has to say about it.
Russell Brand?
Yeah.
Oh, for God's
he
sake.
just has nothing to say. That guy, I don't know why we are still, have to put up with him. But it's,
well, without going on about Russell Brand a lot, everything he does doesn't seem to be very successful, and yet he seems to be being painted as the great comedy great of our time. I was on opposite him when I was on Saturday night. He with the might of Radio 2 behind him, the constant appearances in the tabloid press, the adverts that they used to have on peak time for his show on Radio 2. Little old me, on little old LBC, I was beating him.
I don't know that. Well,
and no one's ever heard of me.
Yeah, it's but your influence has kind of spread a little bit in the radio industry. I think. I mean, you can hear Ian Lee and people like that doing straight to air calls now, and almost lightning round type stuff. But with Russell Brand, I think it's just pop music comedy for girls, basically, and that's people are, he's all style.
It's the triumph of public relations.
Yeah, it's John Noel management and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I do actually have to. I'm interviewing Armando Iannucci tomorrow, and I just wanted to know if you had any tips.
No, I'm rubbish at it, because I spent the entire time that I was interviewing Kenny Everett just laughing, and he was doing really, he was on, he wasn't talking to me like a person, which was the object of the exercise. I was supposed to be getting, some deep psychological insights into this person, and he was just making me laugh all the time, so it was a complete waste of time in that respect.
I'll tell you one of the most phenomenal bits of TV I've ever seen that I saw recently. Someone told me it was on YouTube, and it's one of his appearances on Parkinson, except he doesn't really get to do much in it. But Buddy Rich is on there, and what do you call the guy? Roy Castle.
Right.
And Roy Castle, I don't know if you've ever... Does it ring any bells, this?
Roy Castle? No, not the programme. I know who Roy Castle is.
No, the appearance.
No.
Well, it's extraordinary. You really have to see it. It's Roy Castle takes... Well, Buddy Rich, probably the greatest drummer ever.
Yeah.
And Roy Castle takes out a bunch of, notes, fibers. He gets them off Parkinson and a bunch of change, and he holds them in his hands. And then he asks Buddy Rich to start playing them with the, drumsticks that he gets from the band. And then he starts, it turns into this whole tap dance routine.
Well, I tell you what, I've written it down. Parkinson, Roy Castle, Buddy Rich and Kenny Everett on YouTube.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I know the guy that put it up there, and it turns out that the fellow that sent him the tape was a jazz fan and not a comedy fan, so he cut most of the Kenny Everett stuff out, but the rest of it...
I'll take a peek.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, good job, Neil. Thanks very much.
Right, cheers, Nick.
Ta-ra. This is LBC. It's 7:45. Travel now with Alan Joyce.
Thanks, Nick. Still looking at that.
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
Here's Gants Hill. Hello, Dave.
Good evening, Nick.
Dave.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
I've got a theory on the missing discs for the child allowance on them.
Right.
Perhaps you might be able to help me out with a bit more information. I've been given to understand they were sent in the post, i.e. the post office.
Yes.
Do we know if they were sent recorded delivery?
Well, apparently not. No, they were just popped, they stuck a stamp on them and popped them in the post.
Only, I reckon they're sitting in a black hole somewhere, because the post office has been holding a parcel of mine for 2 weeks.
Why is that then?
And I reckon, since the post strike, they've got the warehouse and they're taking their time giving them out.
Right.
And I think the one who fell on his sword today was the wrong guy. The guy who should have fallen on his sword was Adam Crozier at the post office. He's the one that's holding the mail up.
Is he not the highest paid government official? I believe so.
The guy who fell on his sword or the other one?
No, the Adam Crozier.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. He wasn't all that good when he was at the FA.
Yes, but you might be right there, Dave. But the part of the story, like I said at the top of the programme, that I cannot believe is that they can squeeze £25 million people's details onto 2 compact discs. How can they manage that? You haven't got an answer for that, have you? He's gone. How about, oh, no, it's
Elizabeth from Cheddar.
Yes. Hello, my dear.
Hello, my darling. How are you?
I'm good. Your voice is sounding better?
My voice, I got me getting rid of me cold now.
Yeah. How did you do that?Id you take echinacea?
I went to my GP last week and got
With a
some
cold?
medication. No, I had, got
Something else.
tonsillitis.
Right.
Yeah, it's going now.
Yeah, and what did he give you?
Just give me some medicine for it.
Medicine?
Capsules and that.
Capsules, eh?
Yeah.
What colour were they?
Pink.
Pink?
Yeah,
Oh.
round and pink.
My favourite.
Nick,
Yes.
I just want to wish my brother and his common law wife a safe journey.
Your brother?
Gary.
Yeah.
And his common law wife, Stasha, because they're going to the Caribbean tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
Very nice.
And they just left about an hour ago, and they're going up London, and they got to get the coach to get to the airport 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh.
And my brother and Stasha,
Right. Well, they fleeing the country, are they?
they're going to the Caribbean at 11 o'clock tomorrow, catching the plane
Right.
for a week, and they won't be back a week tomorrow. They're coming back.
How long does it take to get the Caribbean? Ever been to the
6
Caribbean?
hours.
Like I said, you'd know that. 6 hours. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that all?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
I ain't never been in an airplane in my life.
Right. Have you got a passport?
No. And I'm I wouldn't go because I'm phobic, and I would never go on a boat because I might sink because I can't swim.
Well, it's a good job you're in such a lovely part of the world that you don't need to take a holiday, eh?
No. Nick, what was I going to say? Why never learn to swim? I suppose I'm decent, so, you know, too decent to wear a swimming costume.
Quite right, too. Yeah. You saved us from our eyes accidentally falling on your almost naked shame. Yeah, quite right, too. Good job,
Can
Elizabeth.
I have a T-shirt?
Absolutely, yes. Simply go down to a store and they'll let you have one at the regular price. Here is Waltham Cross. Hello, Pip.
Hiya.
Pip.
I can't believe they've posted CDs in the post. I thought everyone knew that that's what the post is bonus for Christmas, is nicking everybody's CDs. So someone's gone home tonight thinking they've got some sort of cool band, and in fact it's just a load of garbled rubbish. And so incredible.
To fit that amount of information on a CD, you'd think you'd need some sort of supercomputer to squeeze it back out again.
Yeah, but all that on just 2 discs.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
Isn't modern technology great?
Yeah, and they're sure the Labour Party, so I'm just glad my daughter's 23 and I don't get child benefit.
Right.
Anyway, I'll mention it anyway. See you later.
Okay, thanks, Pip.
Bye, fella.
Cheers, my dear. Ta-ra. We're talking about sneezing. I'll give you the topics that I've got, and then you can pick and choose which ones you like. It's like a buffet. What are you eating?
Oh, it's gorgeous. I'm
What is
really
it?
sorry, I'm just stuffing my face.
What is it?
Home-cooked spaghetti bolognese.
Oh. Because I was going to say, I'd like some of that, but I actually
I can't share this with you.
Why not?
We don't know each other that well.
Well,
because it's quite sloppy and we'd have to be quite physically close together.
No, we wouldn't. You could put it on a plate. We don't have to
No, I've got my Tupperware.
swap it mouth to mouth.
No. Wouldn't mind a Jaffa, though.
Yeah, you'll get one of those, sure.
They're stale.
Hold your breath. Okay, Gordon's plan to save the world. Sneezing, which I sort of half dealt with yesterday, but not quite. Heather McCartney, I'm going to talk about that in a bit. Her PR skills, not that great, you'd have to say. Regardless of anything else about her personality, whether you like her or you don't, you'd have to say that her PR skills, her ability to mould the media to her best interests, not that good. Shoplift Britain. Streaming in schools. The police mascot is a racist.
Oh, what was Shoplift Britain?
You want to put that one to one side? Menu, please, Mum. Kids insisting that they're not going to eat what they're given. They're sitting down to a family meal. They want to see the menu. Army shortages, speed cameras, police versus Channel 4 over the Muslim programme, hypochondria, too fat to work, that's a story that's a few days old now, Shakira versus Afghanistan. You know Shakira, right? No, me either. She's a singer of some sort?
Right.
I've got no idea. Children's books need to be politically correct. TV nannies. Do you ever watch those TV nanny programmes?
Supernan.
Yeah.
I've seen them, yeah.
Right. Skills for Britons. You know, the Gordon Brown plan to make us all much less stupid. No sex before marriage. GCSEs are easier. Like yet another report coming out that says GCSEs are easier.
Boring.
Yeah, I know. I'll take that one out. Put that one over here because it's just saying the same thing over and over and over. And then some 16-year-old will call up and say, "Oh no, it's not." And I'll say, "How do you know?" And he'll say, "Shut up."
Shut it.
And I'll say, "No, you shut up."
Shut it.
Like.
So we want to avoid that at all costs.
London's Pit.
Yeah.
0845 60 60 973. The other topics, by the way, I ran out of time, a small list. Polar bears, how to be 100 years old, NHS chiefs jollies, childhood must be risky, the look of love, how to get people to really, really fancy you, jargon in modern life, and the sat-nav run from hell. But first, it's Welling Garden. Hello, Amy.
Hello.
Amy.
Hi. I heard you were doing a phone-in about people who are too fat to work.
Not really, but go on.
Well, what do you mean, not really? Because I'm phoning up looking for a bit of advice and
Go on, then.
maybe some help. I'm 25 stone. I haven't worked for about 15 years. And I just thought, has anyone got any advice?
Yeah, have a salad.
I can't get... Sorry?
Stop eating so much.
Well, that's a bit cruel, Nick, because...
No, it's just the truth. I mean, how did you get to weigh that much? By eating too much, right?
By the age of 11, I was the size of a 20-year-old.
But how did you get that big?
Because I just couldn't put down the cream cake.
Right, well, put the cream cake down. Step away from the fridge.
Yeah, but it's not that simple.
Yeah, it is that simple. You want somebody else to solve your problems for you. You have a problem, but you're not prepared to actually deal with it yourself. You want someone else to do it. Well, for how long have you been this heavy? Since you were 11? When are you going to think about doing something about it? You want someone else to solve your problem for you.
When I have some love, I will, you know...
Right, at some point in the future, you're going...
Nick?
Well, everything's very hard, Amy. Life is very hard. Get used to it. It's not a game. You're not waiting for the... You're not waiting for the start of your life. It's not rehearsal. It's begun. The starting gun fired 30-odd years ago, Amy. And I hear this same kind of thing. Thanks for the call. I really appreciate it. Over and over again. I've got this problem, but I want someone else to fix it. I'm not prepared to do anything about it myself. Help me. It's just, I just don't get it. Do you? Am I being unkind?
Oh, I'd love a cream cake right now.
I could go for a couple of pints of just cream. So
I'd love a chocolate eclair.
A sticky bun.
Or anything with custard.
Naughty but nice.
I felt, well, okay, first of all, we don't help on this show. Am I helping yet?
That wasn't particularly helpful, no, Nick.
Well, no, but what help can you possibly give to someone who, by her own admission, is massively overweight because she eats too much?
It's tough love. Sometimes
exactly. The truth of the matter is, no one can help you. You have to help yourself. And to have been out of work for 15 years because you can't put down the cake. Come on. But it's true, it is tough love, and we as a nation would like to run around cooing, oh, you poor dear, you must, we'll give you a grant, or, you know, some help, or we'll send you to the Priory, or you need therapy, or for something. No, you don't, just put down the fork and step away from the fridge. Have a salad once in a while. Pick up an apple every now and again.
It don't taste as nice as a cream cake, though, does it?
Do like me. Walk your wobbly bottom round a park once in a while.
Take a couple of cakes with you, maybe.
I'm just thinking about cream cakes now. That's all I've got in my mind.
You two are so cruel. Do you see what I have to deal with here? I'm trying to help, and this is the assistance I get.
Nick Abbott.
Everything is going extremely well.
So Heather McCartney has done it again. And a lot of papers were reporting her actions, and in only one did I get not the other side of the story exactly, but a clearer idea of what it is that she said. Because, I mean, you'll have heard by now the one astonishing thing that she did come out with today, which was somewhat taken out of context, perhaps, by almost every paper except for the Daily Mail, surprisingly, which, by reporting her more fully, almost but not quite defended her. This is the story in the Telegraph. The Sun was much more damning, as you'd expect. The Telegraph says, and the Telegraph would be a paper that you would think doesn't really have an interest one way or the other. Heather Mills-McCartney urged people yesterday to drink milk from rats to save the planet. Well, yes, technically she did. Well, she mentioned it, but I don't think that's what she had in mind. Lady McCartney, not Linda, said that livestock created far more carbon emissions than transport, so we should go vegan. And speaking as somebody who's just recently stopped being vegetarian, there is only one word to describe veganism.
Boring!
It is boring. Alfalfa sprouts and nuts. Can you imagine anything worse? Vegans. I mean, that's just properly crazy. But we're not built to be vegans. Vegans are those people who clog up health food stores, looking like they're on the verge of death.
They always look miserable, don't they?
Well, yeah, so would you if all you had to eat was mung beans. A vegan is someone who eats no meat or dairy produce, or at least, what? Lady McCartney said that livestock created far more carbon emissions than transport, so we should go vegan, someone who eats no meat or dairy produce, or at least find something else to put in tea or coffee. At Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park in central London, she said there are many other kinds of milk available. Why don't we try drinking rat's milk and dog's milk? Well, now, either the Daily Mail has got this wrong, or that's not quite what she said. Sir Paul McCartney's estranged wife, who is engaged in a bitter divorce case with the former Beatles, launching a campaign by the vegetarian group Viva, and it's Viva ! Which, now, Viva, that's, what is that Italian for? That's life, isn't it? Vim and vigour and life and...
Freedom.
Yeah, but being a vegan is none of those things. It's depressing and grey and soulless, boring existence.
Lentils.
Yeah. Wearing a green T-shirt bearing the message vegan, you can't get greener. She said 80% of global warming comes from livestock and deforestation. I'm not telling people to go vegan overnight, but if they stop drinking their cow's milk lattes, maybe this sort of thing wouldn't have to happen. Well, there's a good reason to stop drinking your cow's milk lattes. It's because you're spending £3 on a cup of milk. I mean, that's just silly. And it tastes like rubbish as well. The reason that they put chocolate and syrup and sprinkles and cream on your coffee in these places is to disguise the taste of the rubbish coffee. Italians, on the other hand, French people, outside of breakfast, will have a coffee that's the size of a thimble, that actually feels like you're on heavy drugs.
Groovy.
It does. In this country, it's just hot black water.
Is it easy to milk a rat?
Here's the Daily Mail. She was supposed to be launching a poster campaign for an animal welfare charity, yet some observers couldn't help wondering if Heather Mills had a different aim in mind, embarrassing her estranged husband, Paul McCartney. For the billboard posters she unveiled yesterday were initially covered over by adverts for the National Domestic Violence Helpline, featuring a woman with a black eye. Miss Mills has previously claimed that she was assaulted by the former Beatle during their marriage. Last night, the animal charity Viva! Insisted that it was merely a coincidence that its billboards had been covered up by the domestic violence posters. The spokesman said they were for an old campaign. It's nothing to do with us. But the 39-year-old former model wasn't clear of controversy. She provoked accusations of hypocrisy after she arrived at the launch at Speaker's Corner in, guess what? That's right, a large Mercedes 4x4.
She didn't.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that you'd have the wit if you were going to lecture people about saving the planet, not to show up in a 4x4. I mean, any other kind of car. 4x4s are the bête noire of the tree-hugging, beard-wearing, sandal-loving fraternity, aren't they?
It's not too...
Yeah, exactly.
Them.
It's the Farquhar of transport, yeah. Not only did she arrive in a 4x4, but she kept the engine running for part of the morning.
And she was high on rat's milk.
One of the posters features Miss Mills writhing in a gold sequined dress with the slogan, "Hey matey, you're making me so hot." The second poster shows Miss Mills, whose leg was amputated after a motorbike hit her as she crossed the street, sending herself up with the logo, "You haven't got a leg to stand on." The slogan is aimed at those who claim to be environmentally aware but also eat meat. Or perhaps people who claim to be environmentally aware and show up for a launch in a 4x4 and keep the engine running. She said the startling truth is that animals farmed for meat and dairy are now one of the greatest threats to the planet. But, I would add, so yummy. The United Nations last year issued a shocking report on the environmental damage done by livestock. She says, I became a vegetarian for health reasons, and then I found out the awful animal abuse in factory farms and dairy herds and became vegan. The earliest and most effective way of cutting our contribution to the cutting our contribution is to change our diet and go vegan. It's that simple. We're the only species, she says, that drinks another creature's milk. So why aren't we drinking rat's milk, dog's milk, or cat's milk? That's how crazy it is. You see, that's the context in which she said it. She's suggesting that it's crazy. She's not suggesting that we go and drink rat's milk. But every other newspaper picked on that, as they would, because they're in they're competing with each other to see who can dig the largest hole for her.
But we drink other milk as well. We drink goat's milk, don't we?
Yeah. Goat's milk. Why do you drink goat's milk?
I don't, but I know people that do.
Why?
I think it's more gentle on your stomach.
I thought that was the whole point of milk, that it's gentle on your stomach.
Well, apparently cow's milk is quite hard to digest.
But it's liquid.
It's still quite hard to break down.
Really?
I don't know what I'm talking about.
No. I'm glad you made that clear. Here is, who should we have first? Who's been waiting the longest? This one right here, Banstead. Hello, Charlotte.
Hello, Nick.
Charlotte.
It's not what I phoned about, but you were very hard on that lady.
I knew that somebody was going to complain.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's why.
You're usually so nice.
Okay, well, here's why. Her position was that she was massively overweight by her own judgment. Admission, yes. And I said, why? Well, she said that she had been overweight since she was 12, and I said, how did you get that way? And her answer was she couldn't put the cake down.
No.
She'd been out of work for 15 years, during which time, presumably, she still couldn't put the cake down, and she wanted someone else to solve her problem. No one else can solve your problem. If that you have a problem, that you realise that is the first step to solving it yourself. But it's that mentality of, well, you know, I want to do something about it, but I just can't be bothered. Somebody else do it for me. I just can't stand it.
No, I mean, if you're overweight, there's nothing to stop you going to work.
Well, that's another good point.
You can't go to work, though.
Yeah. I mean,
Really?
yes, exactly right. I mean, what, to do what, for instance? I mean, you're sitting away in a call centre, for instance.
15 years is a long time.
It's a long time to be inactive, to not help yourself.
What I called about,
yes.
I was speaking to Helen. Can you work out how many people actually listen to LBC, like they did to television?
Yeah, well,
how many listeners
it is worked out on a 3 monthly basis.
Oh, right. Do you know how many? Or not offhand?
Not off the top of my head, no.
No.
It changes for every show.
Because I wondered, it's not Jethro ringing in, putting different voices on, is it?
Is what not?
Ringing you, putting different voices on. Jethro.
He does ring me.
Yeah, but does he put different voices on? Sorry, it's a joke.
Right. Not that I'm aware, but what has that got to do with our audience figures?
No, sorry, it was a joke, Nick.
Oh, really?
You didn't get it.
No, I'm afraid not.
Sorry, Nick.
Oh, well, that's just, I'll put that down to my stupidity.
I just said, just Jethro ringing in, putting different voices on, you know, for people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't get
No matter how many times I hear it, I still don't get it.
Nick!
Oh, well.
No.
It's, a pearl before swine, Charlotte, never mind. If you have another thought, then I'd tell it to somebody else.
Oh, Nick.
Don't waste your time on me, all right.
Oh, Nick.
But anyway, thanks a lot, Charlotte.
Okay,
Cheers,
bye-bye.
madame. Ta-da.
Bye.
Let's, well, we could write that down and put it as the first joke on a new, unfunny British comedy series. It'll fit right in with all the others. Did you get that?
I did get it, yeah.
Did you?
I thought you were a bit unfriendly there to her.
I was.
Well, a little bit. You could have just laughed, because she was obviously making a joke.
Well, I didn't hear that as a joke. I just didn't know. I was confused.
Oh.
I wasn't being unfriendly. I just didn't get it.
Well, that's 2 women you've upset tonight.
Oh, God.
3 by the sounds of it.
8:15. Here's Travel Now with Amanda Redmond.
Thanks very much.
Nick Abbott.
Here are the studio calls flashing up on the indicator.
Hatfield. Hello, Dom.
Oh, hi, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Good. Just wanted to talk about Heather Mills, really.
Right.
The thing about the rat's milk, okay, I used to work in microbiology, and it just doesn't work for us. I mean, the goat's milk, yeah, that works, protein-wise. But if you start taking on rat's milk and these sort of things, it's not going to work for you, and you will become ill. So that's the sort of first point that she's absolutely mad on.
Well, I mean, I remember an episode of The Simpsons where a milk that was being sold cheaply to the town was discovered by Bart as coming from rats. I mean, that's just comical, isn't it?
It's absolute madness. I mean, exactly.
But I don't believe for a second that she was actually suggesting, as most papers led us to believe, that she was telling us to go and drink rat's milk. She was just implying that drinking rat's milk was as crazy as drinking cow's milk.
Yeah, but it's clutching at straws, isn't it? I mean, if you look where she's gone on the media path in the last few weeks.
Well, yeah, she needs guidance, I would say, because she's not doing herself any favours.
No, she's not doing herself any favours. And I think, as she's dripped down the ladder of sort of respectability, she's sort of clinging onto something that she perceives as green.
Oh, you're getting muffled, Dom.
Yeah, sorry, mate, I put my hand over the thing for you. She's getting perceived as green, and that's what she wants to do, latch onto something that's pure, that makes her still look good. It's absolutely fast. Did you see in the back of her Mercedes, the amount of plastic she had in the back? Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Brilliant. It was all full of plastic bottles, full of Selfridges plastic bags. And what with the current climate of everyone going on about the plastic at the moment, you know?
Well, plus it was a Mercedes 4x4 in London.
I mean, that's the tip of it. As she opened the door and got in, you could see the plastic bottom and laid out the Selfridges bags. So it just, I mean, it's clearly clutching at straws, and I don't know where it's going to end.
But that doesn't really speak of someone who's very bright. To show up at a press, what I suppose was a press conference, about global warming in a 4x4. That just doesn't make any sense at all.
Absolutely, shindiggerous at best. It was all over the place, and I don't know, eventually people are going to think, well, actually I'm not going to write about her. But then we look at the celebrity sort of magazines, you know, these Nows and these sort of things, and think, well, the lower they get, then the more sort of publicity they get with these caricatoners and these sort of awful people.
Well, I think people carry their own heat, don't they? One journalist will write about somebody, and then another journalist, because they're all faced with a blank piece of paper every day and they've got to fill it, they'll just write what somebody else has written, and then around and around and around it goes.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, they've got to jump on something, and as long as it keeps shifting numbers, whether it's verified free distribution, whether it's paid for, whatever it is, as long as it keeps doing that, then she's going to keep her name out there. But it'd be interesting to watch. I mean, it's a bit sick, you know, watching somebody, because she's clearly not well.
Well, that's not, that's neither here nor there. I'm sure she's extremely well. It's just that she needs advice as far as PR goes.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, she's lost her lawyers now. She's lost all the spin that she did have. So I just think it'd be quite interesting over the next sort of coming months to see how shindiggerous she actually gets.
Right, that's twice you've said that, but never mind.
That's just a great word. I just use it.
In everyday conversation, I bet you do. All right, thanks, Dom.
All right, cheers, bye.
Shindiggerous, eh? Catford, hello, Trixie.
Hello.
Trixie.
Can I just please put a little word out to Amy, please?
Amy? Who's Amy?
Amy's the young lady that you were the last but one lady.
Right.
Who was having some problems. That's all right.
Okay.
Thank you. Amy, to help yourself, a really good thing to do would be perhaps to get a dog. A small dog that will love you.
Not a yappy dog, though.
No, it doesn't matter. But the most important thing is a dog will love you, you can look after the dog, and the most important thing is that dogs need exercise, and it'll gradually get you out of the house just to exercise without thinking about it with the dog. And I found when you go for walks, you'll bump into people and meet other dog owners, for example, and by having a dog and going out for walks, it'll take you out of yourself, and when you start to feel good about yourself, that's when you can start to think about perhaps losing weight. But don't start thinking about the weight as much as...
Yeah, I don't think you want to wait till you feel good about yourself to lose the weight. I think if you lose the weight, you will start to feel good about yourself.
Start to do things.
And walking a dog, I'm afraid, Trixie, is not really. It's just walking. I mean,
she's lonely.
Golf, you'd say, is walking, isn't it? I mean, how many fit people have you ever seen playing golf? They can barely get around the course.
You didn't get what she was saying. She's lonely, I think, and she needs someone to love her. And
what, before she goes out to work?
No.
Oh, come on, Trixie, this is just daft. And I'm not going to have this conversation all night long with people who feel sorry for someone who isn't prepared to help themselves. They want somebody else to do it for them.
No, I'm not doing it for her. I'm just suggesting that it would be a good idea. It's one way to start becoming more positive in your mind.
Right, well, I agree with everything you just said, yeah.
Okay. And Charlotte, I got the joke.
I didn't. I've heard it over and over, and I'm still running it through my mind. I still don't get it.
Jethro, he calls up different programs as Jethro or Jeffrey. That's all.
Right.
And I think that's the. I think that was the joke. But
it's been explained to me, and I still don't get it.
Never mind. It doesn't matter.
No.
Maybe I got it wrong. Ironically, I was just flipping on the internet. You were talking about suckling rats. And it came up with a mythical Roman cave unearthed, and they believe they found the lost underground grotto where ancient Romans believed a female wolf suckled the city's twin founders, which was, and they were Romulus and Remus.
Yeah.
And I saw a Star Trek movie the other day, and of course the Romulans were one of the warlike races. In the movie, so that, of course, that's where they got the name from. So just looking at this now, it's quite interesting. The end.
I don't picture you as a Trekkie nerd.
Of course I am. I was brought up with the original Star Trek. You know, I knew everything about that first series. Absolutely everything. It was brilliant.
What's to know?
Well,
he beams down to a planet, and whoever you don't recognise is the one that's going to die.
No, it was a little bit more complicated.
Oh, was it?
But don't worry about it.
No, I'm not going to.
No, precisely. So you're in fine spirits today, young man.
Am I?
Yes, absolutely. Tearing everybody down.
Well, no, I don't mean to do that. I just had a mental, one of my cells exploded in my mind when I was faced with somebody who was complaining about a problem that's kept them out of work for 15 years. It's not just a problem that over the last couple of days or so.
Well, I think that possibly if she hasn't turned the radio off, if she gets my advice, it would be a good idea. It would just take her out of herself mentally.
Right.
You know, enough that's what I was thinking.
Okay, well, that's a good idea.
To take you out of yourself. You have to exercise a dog.
Well, but I would, again, let me say, walking a dog isn't exercise.
No, but you get to meet people.
Okay, yeah.
And, you know, you get to meet people and it gives you more confidence.
Right.
The more confidence you have, the better you feel about yourself.
Right.
The losing weight actually seems to fall into place, and you can actually listen to what your doctor says. Perhaps she's scared about, for example, going to self-help groups because of her weight. She's scared of meeting people because of her weight. And my idea was just to get her out of that.
But all of these things, don't you think, if all of everything that you just said was true, don't you think that by her own admission, her problem was because she eats too much cake? Don't you think she could stop eating cake at some point over the past 15 years?
Perhaps she hasn't thought about getting
come off it.
Possibly. You don't know. It's just an idea, just to get something. You know, you've got to do that. Anyway, I've got chest pains. Humour me. Thank you.
You have?
Yeah, actually, I do. Honestly, seriously, I'm not just saying that.
Right.
Oh.
Dial 99 and then...
No. I get... Tell you what I do get. I get, my heart speeds up very, very rapidly.
Yeah. Well,
and
everything that you've got,
scary.
I've got more.
I think we could... no, I don't think so.
I think between us, we're
I think we do.
medical
We're
phenomena.
doomed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have near-death experiences on a daily basis between us.
Yeah, I know. But it's very scary when it happens because I've got very low calcium and low magnesium, and when those levels are low, and it's because of there's a low hormone level which controls all that. So those low levels lead to problems with the muscle contractions.
Yeah. How many pills are you on?
Quite a lot, actually.
Right. What colour are they?
Oh, I've got some really good colours. I've got pink ones, and I've got green and yellow ones.
Yowza.
Really?
Groovy.
Yeah, I lose count of them.
Well, you send me a yellow one, and I'll send you a blue one. How's that?
Oh, well, I haven't got any blue ones.
Well, exactly. I'll send you a blue one.
Which ones are those?
I don't know. I'm just making it up.
Oh, no.
Anyway, a pleasure as always, Trixie.
Oh, lovely to speak to you again.
Cheers, my dear.
Take care.
Ta-ra.
Bye.
This is LBC. Let's have Hatfield. Sarah.
Hello.
Sarah.
Nick, I can't believe you're on. It's so amazing to speak to you. I've been a fan for so long. I can't believe it. I've got no sympathy for that last lady. Because I had a lot of sympathy. I don't have much sympathy for fat people. I don't.
Oh, please, let's not. Can we please drop that? It was. I don't want to talk about that all night long. Please don't talk about that. Anyway, Sarah, how are you?
The fat girl. I don't care about fat people. At the end of the day, fat people, they bring it on themselves. They can sit down with a pie, or they can sit down and decide to go for a walk. And I cannot give a monkey's about someone who's fat. I just think that they should be kicked onto the road. I just hate them.
Well, as long as you don't say anything controversial, Sarah, that's great.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I was...
Can we get off that topic? So how are you, Sarah?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm kind of getting on with my boyfriend at the moment, but not. You know how it is.
All right. Up and down?
Yeah, it's up and down, but I don't care, you know. I'm not fat like that girl.
I swerved her away from it for just a brief moment, and then back on it you are.
But I thought that was the topic.
No, there are no, it's definitely not the topic. Hey, Helen, no more calls about that.
That's
okay.
all they want to talk about, the fat lady.
No, I just thought that was the topic. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
Okay, so what do you want to talk about, Nick? It's lovely to hear your voice.
Well, that's nice of you to say so, but unfortunately, we've come to the end of our time here, because I've got to take the new news.
I'd love Ian Lee back.
It's 8:30, as near as makes no difference.
London.
Hi, honey. How are you?
Hi, Flash. How are you?
Oh, not so bad, Nick. You were talking about milk, and my current girlfriend at the moment from China, and she can't understand how we can eat cheese and all this milk product, and you know how we don't eat enough fish and we don't eat any vegetables in this country.
Yeah, true enough.
You know, and how terrible that is. She thinks we'd be a lot healthier if we ate more Chinese style and Oriental style food.
Well, I'm sure she's got a point. Yeah.
And the other thing was my Brazilian friend. I took her out the otdo day and we went to one of these harvesters, and she was shocked. They serve fries or chips with steak, and she said, "Why do you have potato with steak? You should be having rice. In Brazil, we have rice. You don't have potato with steak. You don't have fries with steak. That's unheard of. That's terrible." You know, she was really worried that we wouldn't have rice with steak.
Well, I'm sure that's just the nature of. I didn't know that Brazilians didn't eat potatoes, but it's probably just the nature of that's not their basic food stuff. Rice is their thing. But is that true? Brazilians eat rice? Doesn't sound right.
Apparently they have steak with rice, and apparently Europe and sort of North America and that are the only sort of areas in the world where rice isn't really the staple part of the diet. Everywhere else, sort of Asia and South America and that is rice based.
If you think about how we used to eat when our bodies were formed, because let's face it, our bodies haven't really changed for thousands and thousands of years. Mentally we've changed, but our bodies remain the same. They remain the same since when we were hunter-gatherers, when we used to base our diet around what we could pick off a bush, nuts and berries and And we didn't, you're quite right, have cream and dairy products and so on because we weren't, we didn't farm like that. And only relatively recently we started consuming large amounts of lactose products. And that's probably one of the reasons we're all dying.
Yeah, I mean, the other day I had roadkill because my old brother brought the rack of venison in that had been run over on the side of the road, and that was lovely, that was.
Well, of all the roadkill that you could have brought home, that's about the loveliest, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't like venison, but the way he cooked it with all the herbs and that,
yeah.
I mean, it was gorgeous.
Do you have chips?
We just had it in like a big sort of stew type thing with dumplings.
Sounds yummy.
So it was really nice. But apparently it was knocked over in Kent, and they found it with a head it was still alive, and they had to cut its throat, and then they hung it on the back of the Land Rover and drove it with it apparently dripping all the way down the road.
Well, as long as no animal got hurt in the making of that meal, that's fine.
Yeah, and they said, well, it was going to just lay there at the side of the road. So, you know, that was the thing, and apparently where they are down in Kent is quite a thing to eat the roadkill.
Yeah, not squirrels and badgers and so on, but something a bit bigger than that and more yummy.
You know, like all the little muntjac deer that get run over, and
people are driving through fields to get that.
Yeah, apparently this thing was a white hart. You know,
was a what?
A white hart.
A white hart. What's that?
Well, that's the big female roe deer.
Right. Well, now you're into territory. I've got no idea what that means. But white, I don't think you want to kill white deer.
Well, I mean, you must have come across the White Hart pub, surely.
No.
There's hundreds of it. So you're not really a drinking man, then?
Well, I do like a drink, yeah, but I've never heard of a White Hart pub. No.
Oh, well, lots of people have phoned in and say there's one here. I mean, there's one down sort of area going down to Becontree. There used to be a White Hart down there.
And how did it taste?
What, it was lovely. It wasn't gamey as I'd had when I'd had sort of gone to these country fairs and had venison sort of in a venison kebab and things. They're not so nice. But
right, so you'd recommend not swerving if you were ever faced with one in the middle of the road?
Well, I would recommend swerving because they weigh sort of about half a ton, and that in your car does an awful lot of damage.
I suppose so, yeah. So, all right, thanks for the tip, Flash.
No problem.
Cheers, ta-ra. Here is Caterham. Hello, Jill.
Hello.
Jill.
Nick, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I had a complete blank then, listening to it about the deer, because I was a bit feeling sick. Oh, dear, I couldn't imagine eating. No, could you? Oh, no.
Well,
anyway.
You know, we do try to remove ourselves from what we're actually eating. You know, we call it something else. You know, it's pork, not pig, for instance. And we like it to come on a polystyrene tray covered in plastic.
You're quite right. Yeah, I do have a daughter-in-law who, when we're sitting there with some nice lamb, will say, oh, this poor little thing was hopping around
exactly.
a field.
Gambling it was.
Dear.
Yeah, we try not to think about that.
Yeah, you're quite right.
Every meat meal, some animal had to die to provide it.
Absolutely. But I think I've been labouring under an apprehension for years. You know, the debate about the ratings and things like that, and I always thought they were based on the number of phone calls you got.
No.
Which meant I couldn't quite understand where the lady was coming from, like she was talking about Jethro rings, you know, and what about if hearings? Because I was thinking, well, if it's only a phone call, it doesn't really matter who's made the phone call, what they call themselves, or who they're claiming to be.
Right, it's still one call.
Well, and I don't think I'm right, am I?
Well, no, that's not the way it's done. I think people get a little book and they have to write down what they listen to, and then it's added up at the end of a 3-month period.
I see.
And extrapolated to the general population.
Oh, I see. So does that mean that there are people who have the books and keep a log of...
I think that's exactly what happens, yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh, right. I had no idea it was like that.
Yeah. Apparently it's one of the biggest surveys that's undertaken. You know, you'll read in the newspaper they've surveyed this and they've surveyed that, and they come up with, you know, a percentage of what the whole nation does, but on the basis of a couple of hundred people. But it's much, much bigger survey than that for radio.
Gosh. So are people sort of chosen, selected to be on these panels, or...
I really don't know how they do it. I would assume that it's random.
Right.
You know, to reflect the ethnic and demographic makeup of the country.
Of course.
I would assume.
Of course.
But but more than I've said, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, well, at least that helps me to see that what you were saying wasn't that way off, you know.
Right.
But I couldn't understand how a different voice would make any difference at all.
No, me either. That's my stumbling block. That's why I didn't get the joke, if that's what it was.
Well, I was with you see, and I thought you must be right.
Huh. Okay.
Being that it's your job.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's my job to be right. Yeah.
No. I guess one of the things you do is, or maybe you don't. What do I know? But is consider what ratings are about. Is that the sort of thing broadcasters worry about?
On a daily basis, yes.
Right. I would have thought that makes sense. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
We live and die by it, Jill.
Sorry?
We live and die by it.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Don't let it become too important.
Well, I suppose, yeah.
No,
it's just a game, isn't it? All right. Thanks a lot, Jill.
Okay, dear.
Cheers, ta-ra. How about Georgia in the USA? Hello,
hey,
Steve.
It's Fat Steve here.
Hey, Steve.
Talking about, fat people. Oh, but first, you were talking about blue pills. Wasn't that what Phil Daniels took in Quadrophenia?
That's exactly right. And he took it on the 5:15 down to Brighton.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Cool. Send some of those to her.
No.
By the 5:15. Anyway, I don't. You really laid into that woman for like eating too much, and I don't. I think that some people are going to be fatter than other people.
Yes.
Because I call myself Fat Steve. I like to eat a lot, and I do gain weight. And at my most, I've been 230 pounds, which is, I guess, 17 stone? Is that 15 stone?
Right. That's not massive. How tall are you?
I'm 6 foot tall.
Well, that's not that. I mean, that's a rugby player's physique, Steve.
Right. And then I trim down, and I like vacillate between a 32-inch waist and a 34-inch waist. But I got to tell you, I can't imagine someone who eats much more than I do when I'm in, one of my
moods.
When yeah.
No, but essentially you're right. Food does affect people in different ways. Some people can eat their face off and not put an ounce on. Other people have to be very, very careful. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, and there's people who have, jobs that cause them to just be on their bottoms all day, whereas...
Well, we do actually have... Yeah.
works with his hands.
Almost all of us have a very sedentary lifestyle now.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, that was all I had to say. Thank you very much for listening.
Hey, no worries. Thanks, Steve. Okay. Yes. Well, I don't really want to talk about this for very much longer, if any longer. But, yeah, food does affect different people in different ways. There's no doubt about it. Here's Peckham. Hello, John.
Hello, Nick.
John.
I love Heather Mills. I love her. Let me just say one couple of things. There's tens of millions of people worldwide love Paul McCartney, but none of them, well, most of them, haven't lived with him. I mean, why do we always why do we all assume that he's a complete gentleman indoors?
Well, I don't. And I think that I'm alone in this, but his sort of cheeky, chappy, man of the people routine, I just don't buy it.
Good man. Nor do I. And he actually admitted that he hit Linda more than once.
Did he? No, I'm not sure that's true.
Well, you can, quote me, if that means anything. But,
I can quote you.
Yes.
No, I don't think that's true at all. I don't think he did any such thing.
No, that's a well-known fact.
I don't think so.
No, I'll have to recall the couple of papers I've read it in. I've
read it in a paper?
No, a couple of newspapers.
It must be true.
Isn't it all going on her history? You know, all this bad feeling, or most bad feeling against Heather. All, you know, what she's done in the past. I mean, my God, what's, you know, Michael Jackson done in the past? Well, I don't know, Angus Deaton, I don't know, Rio Ferdinand, a million names I can bring up, what they've done in the past, and they've all been forgiven. I mean, what has she done currently? Is she on drugs? Is she paedophilia? Or what? I mean, what? I love her. I think she's a beautiful, wonderful character.
Well, I think that there are a few people like, and you could name them. You could say the Queen, Elton John, Paul McCartney, and then you start to run out. These people are untouchables as far as the tabloid press and society in general goes. And anybody that crosses their path is onto a hiding before they've even started, really. So I think that's part of the reason why.
What they like to live with, though, you know, there's, forgetting the Queen a moment, I mean, what's Paul McCartney really like to live with?
Well, I've got no idea, John.
Well, she knows, and she ever was with him long enough. You know.
Yeah, I think they probably deserve each other.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad someone's sticking up for her a little bit, you know, because he wants to give huge amounts of money to keep quiet. Now that sounds a bit suspicious.
I'd be really quiet if he gave me huge amounts of money.
Well, you know, she's got. Don't forget, she's got the daughter, their daughter. So you know, she deserves X amount of money.
Right.
Well,
I'm sure she'll get it.
But I'm just saying, again, a bit suspicious why he wants to give her this huge amount of money to keep quiet. Keep quiet about what? You know?
Well, we don't know that either, and we don't...
we know he wants to give her a huge amount of money.
Well, we don't know that.
We do. He's offered her a huge amount of money
well, we don't know that. The things were in the press, and one day it's this, and the next day it's completely the reverse, and the press is just making this stuff up. We've got no idea what happened in the court, because the court was closed. They even closed off the little keyhole, so people couldn't spy through it.
I mean, look at the other day, she said people might as well drink rat's milk as well as cow's milk, and everyone said she advocates drinking rat's milk.
Well, yeah.
Cow.
I mean, I've done all that on the show already. But
I'm just saying, well, the main thing, lastly, thanks for having me on, is that we don't know what people are like to live with. I mean, this is a very. I mean, Dr. Shipman, nothing to do with Paul. No, I'm saying everyone was up in arms when the first bit of suspicious thing come out about. They said he's a wonderful, lovely, homely doctor, and blah 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 blah. And
yeah, him and Stalin. Yeah, such nice men. Anyway, John, I've got to go.
All right,
it's 8:46. Travel now with Amanda Redmond.
Looking at
Nick Abbott.
It's a good idea to get someone else's opinion.
Isn't that right, Jessica?
Yeah, I guess so.
How are you?
Helen's really nice, isn't she?
Yeah.
She seems it, anyway.
What, Helen, who works through the glass?
Behind the glass.
Yeah.
She seems really nice, that's all.
You seem so surprised.
Well, no, you're a new show to us. Last time I was down here, it was Ian Lee that was on.
Yeah.
But shows you how long that's been. But we're down here for a whole week this time, so I thought I'd give you a ring.
You're down there?
Down in, well, the London area for a whole week.
Why, where have you come from?
Liverpool.
You came from Liverpool to Slough?
Work. 'Tis the season for mystery shopping.
Right. Mystery shopping? What's that?
Mystery shopping is when you go in and you're buying something or buying a service or something, and what you're actually doing is compiling a report on customer service.
Huh, who for?
Well, for whoever the client is. Usually pubs or restaurants or... But we've done quite a few shops today, actually.
So these are... So the actual shop owners employ you to go in to see how it is to be a customer in their own premises?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And, how the shops that you went in today?
Oh, I've had a fabulous time. I've actually got two of my boys with me working this week, and one of them's been to an entertainment venue, and he had... he was supposed to be awkward as possible, but he came out and he said he had a fabulous time. So, very good.
So do you go in and pick a fight with the assistants then, just to see what the reaction is going to be?
If we've got a client that's asking for an awkward customer, I say my son, he's good at that.
I think I could do that.
Yeah, I'm no good at being the awkward customer. I think
you don't want to make a fuss?
Well, no, it's not that I don't want to make a fuss, but My son tells me I'm not dishonest enough. I let my face gives it away.
Right.
And it's no good if they can figure out you're the mystery shopper.
So do you get to keep any of the stuff that you buy?
Well, no. Well, some of it you do. It depends really on what it is. Obviously, if you're going to a restaurant, they're not really asking for the meal back.
No, right.
But some of it, some of the companies that we work for actually donate this time of year.
So how do you get into this racket?
I'm a PI. It's part of what we do.
You're a what?
Private investigator.
You're a private investigator?
Yes, it's one of the things we do.
Huh.
It's one of the better things we do. Some of what we do is boring. But like...
What, following women and men on the behest of their other halves to see whether they're doing something they shouldn't oughter?
See, now, that gets me to see whether they're doing anything. No, by the time somebody comes to us, they already know that they're doing something.
Right, they just want the evidence.
They want the evidence, and I'll only take a job like that. To be clear, it's no good you sending me out there to find out what they're doing and that. I'm not going to tell you nothing that's going to make you feel better. The only useful thing I can provide to you is if you're going to do something about it, such as a court case.
Right. So, I suppose in the same way as a doctor just has people coming and it's just a stream of moaning people every day, it must be a nightmare. It's the same with you. People's lives have broken down irretrievably in some way and they want you to...
It's not always irretrievably.
Right.
You know. No, for the marital stuff, I think some of it's sad, because at some point they must have really loved each other.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's the boring part, though.
So this shopping lark, that must be a light relief.
Yes, I love this time of year. Oh, sorry.
What's the worst experience that you've had, then? You don't have to name the... In fact, don't name the shop.
No. The worst...
What kind of thing did they sell?
Because
this country...
Oh, makeup. Oh, it was
makeup.
awful. Oh, yeah. That was awful, and that was a well-known chain.
A well-known chain of makeup shops, right. So you went in, and they said, I'm sorry, love, there's nothing we can do for you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Really?
No, she just didn't know what she was doing.
Right.
She was selling or anything.
Well, I get that everywhere. Nobody knows what they're doing. No one has any clue what they're doing behind a counter. I don't believe that they ever have.
We've had a fabulous day, especially today, actually. It's been really good.
Right.
Actually, I've had a great time.
And what sort of thing are you examining now?
I'm not, one of my boys I'm just picking him up. He's just done a restaurant.
A restaurant? Can I get in on this, this game? I'd like to go to restaurants and get it paid for me, just to check out the quality.
It's the guy on the radio. He's just got in the car. He's saying, yeah.
So I'll take that as a no, then.
Well, I don't know. I guess so.
I'll start with cocktails, and then maybe I'll work up to doing meals later. How's that?
Go to the nightclub ones. The nightclub ones are really good. They're really good fun.
That would entail staying out well beyond my bedtime, though, Jessica.
Oh, well, there you go.
Anyway, you send me the application form in the post, and I'll fill it out and stick it back at you, all right?
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
See ya.
Cheers, ta-ra.
Bye.
LBC.
And remember, darling, I don't work before 10 in the morning and never after 4:30 in the afternoon.
So when I'm filling out the form, I'll just note that at the bottom. I don't work before 10 in the morning and never after 4:30 in the afternoon. So that's lunch, basically, isn't it?
Booze.
Exactly. Wimbledon. Hello, Francesco.
Hi.
How are you?
You're right. Basically, it's about two things. One is about the plastic in supermarkets.
Yeah.
Well, they want to stop us to use plastic bags, fair enough.
Right, quite right,
then
too.
the other things is that the government should make sure that the supermarket use not so much plastic in packing of their stuff, like, for instance, strawberry or plums or whatever other fruits.
Yeah.
Put into these thick baskets of thick plastic baskets.
Yes, that's right.
And they could be put into thick paper, like eggs, like the container of the eggs.
Right, well, they could just sell them... I mean, even with eggs, you can sell them singly. You can bring your own containers in.
Yeah, well, no.
No, I've
But,
seen that.
Basically, instead of using plastic to package to put all the products in, they could use paper. That's one of the subjects I wanted to talk about.
Right, or they just don't package them at all. I mean,
As well,
there's really no reason
like
for
strawberry or
yeah, there's no reason for apples to be sat four square on a polystyrene tray and then covered over with plastic and then a label to be stuck on them. That's just daft.
Yes, that's true as well, but at least those thick plastic containers where they put strawberry, plums, nectarines, peaches, whatever, that could be avoided, I personally believe. And so many other products that are full of plastic, put into plastic can be put into thick paper. That's one other thing. Regarding that overweight lady, sorry about this, but I know you don't want to talk about it, I personally believe that she has got an addiction problem. And you don't go to a person that has got an addiction problem and tell them simply, oh, just give up. You know, I mean...
well, you don't know her any more than I do, so...
Well, no,
so you telling me that she has the nature of her problem is ridiculous.
I know, but...
you don't know what you're talking about any more than I do. But anyway, like I said, I don't want to talk about it anymore. This is LBC. Come on, there's a whole board of people there, Helen. Call one of them back for me. Helen. Joan.
Oh, hello, Nick.
Hey, Joan.
Yes. I was just calling up about the overweight lady.
Oh, God. That conversation lasted for about 10 seconds.
Well,
and it's all people have wanted to talk about ever since.
The thing is, Nick, I'm entirely on your side.
Okay.
But for a different reason.
Yeah.
And I can't really say what the reason is, but I think you were perfectly right in your reaction to it.
And what crossed my mind was I heard Paul Ross talking to somebody with it was almost a complete copy of a conversation Paul Ross had yesterday or the day before with somebody, and they were saying exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
That they'd been out of work for 15 years and they had no...
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, and Paul was saying... Well, why have you been out of work? Oh, well, you know, and it came down to more or less, I can't be bothered.
Yes.
But I want somebody to help me, and I'm like, well, help yourself, man.
Didn't you think it was a little bit funny when she ended up by saying, if only I had someone to love me? And I thought you were going to say, well, there's me. You know, I thought you were going to say, there's me.
I'll send her your number, Joe.
No, you. No, I thought it was a bit odd, actually. A little bit odd, the whole thing. But so that was just very odd.
Yeah.
If I say very odd.
Very, very odd. How odd?
Very, very.
Very, very.
All right. So more than just I'm on your side, but I think there was something very odd about that.
All right. Thanks a lot, Joe.
Bye-bye then.
Cheers, my dear. Ta-ta. This is LBC. Away for the good news, and then back.
Nick Abbott.
I just want to tell you all how happy I am to be back in the studio, making a picture again.
The Cookie Monster is adult rated because he was smoking. What was he smoking?
Want to score some pot?
And eating too many cookies. That's just ridiculous. But Sesame Street, adult rated. I don't remember a Cookie Monster smoking. How would he smoke? You would think that the thing that he's dressed in would be a fire hazard. Wouldn't you? I mean, it must be nylon. He'd go up in a fireball.
Was he the one that lived in the dustbin?
Yeah, he was bright yellow, right?
No, that's not.
No,
that's
which
not
one was that?
That was, who was he? He was the big one with big arm. It kind of shapeless guy.
Like the Sugar Puffs monster, the Honey Monster.
Why is it... What are you talking about?
That nice person on the news was talking about Sesame Street. It's just been released on DVD, and the first few episodes are X-rated, adults only. Sesame Street, because the Cookie Monster was having a fag.
Oh, I'll have a look into that.
But you would think that by holding a lit cigarette, the end of which is 1,000 degrees centigrade, he would explode himself, because that's not natural fibres he's wearing, is it? It's been nylon from head to foot. Unless the Cookie Monster was real, in which case he probably wouldn't catch fire, being a proper animal.
Well, here it is. It's coming on the wires. It says the early days of kids' TV show Sesame Street have been deemed a bad influence. The first episodes have been rated adults only, as they are released on DVD in the States. The program's executive producer says scenes of the Cookie Monster smoking and devouring too many cookies modelled the wrong behaviour for toddlers.
Oh, right, yeah.
In 2007.
Oh, right, yeah.
And this is reflected with publishers are now censoring children's books because of fears over health and safety, and everyone's got to be singing from the same hymn sheet, the same non-denominational hymn sheet. Lindsay Gardner, who has written and illustrated 15 children's books, claims publishers banned youngsters from walking alone in one novel and removed sharp objects from another. This is just books. Her latest book, Who Wants a Dragon, originally featured a dragon toasting marshmallows on flames from his nostrils as he sat around a campfire.
Yum.
She said her publishers insisted that she change the scene because it looks dangerous and goes against health and safety.
What? Because we can all do that, can't we?
If you come across a dragon, you should put cones around it. Very dangerous. That's ridiculous. How is that going to affect a child's behaviour? You can't blow flames out your nose as a child. Who was that?
That's that spaghetti bolognese.
Is that you again? You could set your watch by it. It happened last night as well. It sounded like you were draining a bath. That was horrible.
Thanks.
Another of her novels, When Poppy and Max Grow Up, initially included a scene where a little boy climbed a ladder, but that has now changed too. They didn't allow Max to be on a ladder because they thought it was precarious, but when I changed it, I had him standing on a pile of 3 paint cans, which is much more dangerous, and they didn't have a problem with that. There is also a cooker in the story, and I had one of the elements glowing red because the cooker was switched on, but they didn't allow that either, and I had to change it to green. What? But cookers don't glow green.
No.
Nicola Morgan, an award-winning children's author who's written more than 80 books, agreed that pressure was being placed on writers to remove dangerous items from their work. Miss Morgan from Edinburgh said that in one recent story I did, I was allowed fire, alcohol, drowning and a chicken-eating python, but the one thing I didn't get past the editor was a scene with a Ouija board. Ouija board. As she said that she thought the editors were worried that parents might complain and wanted to cover their backs. It's all about suing, really, isn't it? So little Johnny will read his dragon was toasting marshmallows, and then he'll try and blow fire out of his nose. And then they'll sue the publishers for compensation. Grove Park. Hello, Andy.
Hello, Nick. How you doing? All right.
Good, thanks.
Yeah, you've had a lot of sad people on tonight, all looking to be a bit mothered and nanny state looking after them a bit, haven't you?
I think that is the that's the nature of the country now. Over the last 10 years, we have allowed ourselves to be nannied.
Yeah, I was actually phoning up about the smoking ban and passive smoking.
Yeah, well, I'm all for that.
Well, there's another side to that coin, Nick, really.
Go on.
Because I can only ever remember this passive smoking issue coming up with Roy Castle.
Yeah.
Who never smoked and reckoned he caught it playing in jazz clubs.
Right. Well, I believe that. I mean, the clubs were... well, you know what it was like. When you go out to a club or a pub, you come back and your clothes virtually spontaneously combust. They were full of so much smoke.
Have you ever heard a Roy Castle record?
No.
Well, my mate reckons he caught cancer of the ear listening to them.
Right.
I mean, the thing is, he lost his ear, and now his spectacles won't stay on.
These are the jokes, folks. No, I'm fully on board with the thing on smoking. And whenever I go out, in the very few occasions that I actually step outside my front door to do anything other than come to work, you sit in a bar, and it doesn't strike you immediately, because it's the absence of something, not the presence of something. If people were still smoking, then my first thought would be, oh, blimey, it's smoky in here. But you go in, and it takes a while, and you think, something's different. Oh, yeah. The air is clear, and it never fails to cheer me right up. You can wear proper clothes going out now, instead of, your absolute worst. You know, things that would require dry cleaning, for instance. Here is Kingston. Hello, Rick. Got it. Were we all reaching for the button at the same time? He just lost his mind for a moment, that's all. He's just very excited to be on the air. And we caught him in the end. Good thing, too. One thing I didn't mention earlier on was fussy children requiring a menu from mother. And I think in this respect we've lost our minds in this country as well. Fussy children mean that more and more mothers are having to provide a range of dishes at meal times. They're cooking, on average, 2.5 different meals every dinner time, according to research. Obviously they're not cooking a half a meal, but, you know, if you add it all up and divide it by 7, that's what they've come out with. So more than 2, in other words. More than 2 different types of meal every time people sit around the table. And it's not just children who are particular about what they eat. A quarter of adults say they expect that their dietary requirements will be taken into consideration when being catered for by friends. 10% would even bring their own food, or eat before they got there. The research conducted by a well-known maker of gravy cubes concludes that only 36% of families will sit down for the same dish at the same time together. I thought it was much less than that. I didn't think anybody did that in this country anymore. I think it was an Italian thing. Italians are very big on families, and everybody will sit down at the same time, and that's how they their society seems to work better than ours. The advent of what they're calling the multi-dinner is due to a number of factors, including increased occurrence of food allergies and intolerances and fussier personal choices, says a representative from this manufacturer of cubed gravy products. Multi-dinner is very much a feature of British family life. We're all constantly encouraged to be more demanding. We are consumers and have actually become consumers at home. More and more mums are under pressure. In the 70s and 80s, she said, it was all about you get what you're given. Well, not just in the 70s and 80s, at every point in the existence of humankind, up till right now. But there's been a big shift from a generation ago when we are making considerably more meals now than from the last generation. This means more work for mums as they try harder to please everyone around the table. This can be stressful, especially at big family occasions like Christmas. Well, you'd have to say that it's their own bloomin' fault for acquiescing to the demands of their kids. I don't like... I mean, every child that's ever existed has had food put down in front of them will say they don't like this, that, or the other, because their tastes change on a daily basis. One day you don't like fish sticks, and then the next day you do, and one day you can't stand peas, and then the next day it's the only thing you want to eat. I mean, that's just the nature of being a kid, and I remember it well. But if you just put the food down in front of them and say, that's your food, that's your meal, not, if you don't like that, what else can I make you, Poppykins, then they'll eat it, because they will be hungry. And then you won't have to make 2.4 meals every time you sit down around the table. But that's another example, really, of that, here's a problem. You can see the solution, but you're not prepared to do the thing to get you from A to B. You want somebody else to do it for you. So mothers are complaining about this, but they're not prepared to say no. Did you get that? I mean, if I sat down to dinner and my mum put food in front of me and I said, well, no, what else have you got? Well, there wouldn't be anything else. You just sit there and starve. It were grand when I were a lad. Colchester, hello, Roger.
Hello, Nick. I was all about you talking about sat-nav. Well, you mentioned sat-navs earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a lorry driver, 35 years experience, and it makes me cringe and laugh when you see these pictures of wagon drivers and coach drivers and in middle of fields, you know, because they're just following some stupid technology.
Yes.
You know, I mean, what's wrong with maps? I haven't got one. I use a map.
Yeah, well, the problem with maps is that you can't read them while you're going along. Or it's not advisable. I'm sure it says something about that in the Highway Code.
Yeah, I know that, yeah. I mean, obviously, if I was going from here to Edinburgh, I know roughly where I'm going, how to get from Colchester to Edinburgh. Then when I get just outside Edinburgh, I put on the lay-by and I get a map out, and then I get a piece of paper, and I work out where I've got to go.
Right, yeah, I've tried that too, and then I always end up horrifically lost and have no idea how to get out of where I am, because you need to know where you are to start reading a map. And if you've got no idea where you are, then a map's as good as worthless.
Yeah, but these people, there was one a couple of weeks ago by that Czech driver down near Plymouth. Spent 3 days in the field, or 3 days in the woods, didn't he?
Yeah.
You know, that coach driver that took all them pensioners ended up in a cornfield.
That's right. Well, we're going to get a lot more of it as more and more people own them. I'll talk about that in a minute, but thanks a lot, Roger.
That's right, mate.
Cheers, ta-ra. And coincidentally, it's time for the traffic news at 9:15. Here's Amanda Redmond.
Thanks, Nick.
Anybody care what this guy thinks?
No!
Do you fancy carrying the Olympic torch on its way to the Games in Beijing next year? Well, surprisingly, you can, or we're going to offer you the opportunity of doing just that. One LBC listener will get the chance to carry the torch as it passes through London on Sunday, the 6th of April next year. If you want to light the passion and share the dream, go online now at lbc.co.uk/torch to enter. You'll need to complete the application form. Everyone who meets the criteria will be entered into the draw. It's Sunday the 6th of April next year, carrying the torch as it makes its way to the Games in Beijing. The closing date, midnight, Wednesday, the 21st of November. So go online today, lbc.co.uk/torch.
Orky/Dorky.
Here is Belsize Park. Hello, Judy.
Hello.
Judy.
Hello. I phoned in response to something that was on your 9 o'clock news. I'm spitting feathers.
Yeah.
Sesame Street.
Right.
It must be one of the most inoffensive, lovely programmes that's ever been invented.
Yes.
We've got violence on television. We've got the most disgusting cartoons. We've got video games that are all designed, interactive games for children to go on to kill people.
Yeah.
I can't, I'm sorry, I can't speak because I can't get my head around this at all. I mean, the Muppets that it was Jim Henson, wasn't it?
That's right.
Sesame Street, my children were kind of brought up on Sesame Street. It was such a lovely, lovely programme, and it's such a lovely combination. It's educational. All the kids in it are nice to each other. There's always a kind of moral theme running through it. The whole thing is just so lovely, and I think I've heard it all now.
If you missed it, what's happened is that they've classified the first few episodes as X-rated. For adults only.
But have you seen the garbage that is on children's television?
Well, I've tried.
Dangerous rubbish.
A little while ago, I sat in front of. I was just flipping around, and I sat in front of one of these. I can only imagine they're Japanese cartoons aimed at children,
yes,
which were
hideous.
Well, yes, but they're utterly and totally confusing to me, and I suppose it's because I haven't grown up playing the computer games that this thing was obviously based on. But they didn't seem to have any story other than
mindless violence.
Yes.
And something overpowering something else.
Yeah, and changing into something that was bigger and had more guns or whatever it was, and
they're worried about a Cookie Monster. Do me a favour. I'm sorry.
Well, the cigarette part.
Is it me?
No, it isn't. I can sort of understand the cigarette part. I can't imagine a Cookie Monster having. I mean, how big are its fingers? They're huge, right?
Yes.
How would it hold
to make this joke of like you do with bacon, going, oh, cookie.
Right.
I mean, but I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind that. That's lovely. But look at what else there is that you could be starting off by banning before you worry about a Muppet putting its hand in a cookie jar and saying cookies.
Yeah.
I mean.
We've lost our minds,
Judy.
Judy.
We've lost the plot somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's just terrible. I mean, I have complained bitterly about a lot of stuff that is on television for children, but I never thought anybody would complain about Sesame Street. I give up.
Finally, they've gone too far.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I think.
All right, well, keep up the fight, Judy.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, ta-ra. Here's Crawley. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Nice, mate. Listen, just following up on the fussy kids issue and, the kids that just won't eat what they're told to eat. You're quite right, it's at the end of the day, once the food's put in front of them, you're right, they should just be told that's it, you can have no other option.
Well, otherwise, the mother, presumably, is because it's the mother who's most likely to be making the food. If the mother acquiesces to any silly demand, then she's shooting herself in the foot.
Well, yeah, this is true. I mean, and the other thing is, and this is absolutely no coincidence, that you will find that these fussy kids, as they like to call themselves, or like we, the general public, have labelled them, they're also the unruly ones. These are the kids that you see in the street that are badly behaved. I'm not talking about your teenagers that are just going a little bit off the rails, but the kids in the shops that won't do what their parents say, you know, to be quiet and keep out of the people's way, etc., etc. They're the very same children, and it stems from the home, you know.
Well, you might have something there, yeah. If their every screeched demand is adhered to by their parents, then they've obviously got no barriers, no guidance in their life. If they get everything they want, then they're going to think that no matter where they are and who they're dealing with, they can get what they want just by acting up.
Or just the one angle, isn't it? Really, I mean, it's everything. It extends to not going to bed on time, to demanding things from their parents, all sorts of things. You
having
know,
no concept of authority or the consequences of any actions that they might.
Well, exactly that, and I just think these parents just need to wake up to themselves, because at the end of the day, these kids are going to grow up and they won't change. You know, and we're just going to we're going to have a country full of, and it is getting worse. I mean, and I know, like you say, it's been the case since the year dot, but it's true. In the 60s, 70s, I'm a 60s child myself. That's how we were treated. We were told that's all you were going to eat, and all my friends were the same, you know. But this day and age, it just seems to be that it's almost politically incorrect to chastise your child in any way.
Yeah.
And kids are grasping that, you know. Kids are getting hold of that one, and they're using it in every form they can.
Yes, exactly. I mean, if there's no discipline in school, well, I think it's against the law to provide discipline in school now, and there's no discipline in the home, then there are no barriers to their actions anymore, with the result that...
You see the school issue, I've got
right now.
A slightly different view on that in that I don't actually believe it's the school's responsibility to discipline a child. I believe that too should come from home. I think it's the school's responsibility to inform how a child's behaving, and then as a parent you should deal with it. You know, but the problem is so many parents are actually relying on other bodies to discipline their children, local governments, the schools, the police.
Yeah, but nobody's doing that.
Everybody has to do everything for them, and they won't deal with the consequences when the kids go off the rails.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, I suppose that's just the way life is at the moment. But people do need to wake up, I reckon, otherwise we're going to have a bad world ahead of us.
Yeah. Depressing, isn't it? Oh, well. Thanks a lot, Steve.
Indeed. No problem, mate. You take care.
Cheers. Ta-da. Yeah. I'll punch her up, shall I? No. The sat-nav. For nearly 30 years, Lynn, this woman called Lynn, who has enjoyed working in the peace of a hairdressing salon in a mainly residential street in North London. But thanks to a quirk of satellite navigation systems, her shop is now filled with the sound of car engines and motorists swearing and even fighting, as hundreds of vehicles are guided into her road each day. And it must actually be a living hell, because you would move into a place, presumably a few years ago, before everybody had a sat-nav in their car, and one of the reasons why you liked it so much was because it was so very empty of traffic, that street. And then suddenly everyone suckers these things to their windows, and a road that used to get no traffic at all is now virtually a motorway. She's one of the residents and workers of Whittington Road in Bowes Park, who say that the traffic has become intolerable since sat-navs turned their street into a rat run. The mini-computers are suggesting that it's the quickest route between the A406 North Circular and Bounds Green Road. This woman called Lynn says she's actually seeing people fighting because no one will give way. One day I saw a small van come down the road, a man hooted at him, and the guy climbed over the bonnet of the car and started banging on the windscreen. I can laugh about it now, but it's actually quite scary. Caroline Simpson, chairman of Bowes Park Community Association, said, "I hear honking horns and people screaming abuse. I've often seen motorcyclists riding on the pavement to get past traffic. I once saw someone get out of their car with a claw hammer. People get out and threaten to punch each other. You crazy, crazy people." And you know what this could all be solved with? And it's not too hard. And it's not something that people are unfamiliar with or that they have never experienced in their lives. All of that could be solved by being polite.
Be polite!
Exactly. Couldn't it? But one of the things that happens to people when they get in a car is they lose their minds. And what would be a situation where you would say, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, or you wouldn't even think twice about it, becomes, in a car, World War III. Like somebody won't let you in, or somebody drives too close to you on one side or another. On a pavement, we miss each other by millimetres. In the tube, we're up against each other all the time. But if it happens in a car, well, you just want to kill the person involved. Why is it that we get so crazy when we get into cars?
It goes so quickly, doesn't it, from you driving along to wanting to kill?
Yes. Actual murderous rage.
It's less than 30 seconds.
Well, it can be instantaneous.
I think it's because you're separated. There's no interaction anymore. You know.
But there is interaction. People are shaking their fists through windows. That's interactive.
You feel safe in your little metal box.
Is it much the same as the reason that people go to see horror movies, that they are comfortable but in danger?
Nick Abbot.
Would you mind telling me what this is all about?
And I still am astonished. How do they fit 25 million people's details onto 2 CDs? You're a computer geeky nerd, Alex. How do they do that? Science.
Maybe they compress them.
Oh, squeeze it really small?
Yeah.
Ah, well, you should have said. Here's Barnett. Yeah, I know. Amazing, I didn't think of that. Marvell.
Hello, Nick. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thanks.
You like the cold weather, don't you?
No.
Oh, I thought you liked the cold and the rain.
No.
No, I've got the wrong person. So one of the Spencers does. Oh, I know.
Who would like cold and rain?
No, it was Ian Lee. He loves the cold, wet weather.
Right.
Very strange. I think I've done something really stupid.
Is there something going on today that I'm getting the notion that there's a theme going here, but anyway, go on.
Sorry, I actually talking about kids, and I've done it so innocently, and I know that you've probably got some police listening, so I just want to make sure I'm not in trouble. This sounds terrible, okay? I was walking past my local sweet shop, okay? You know when the kids come out and they say, will you buy me cigarettes, will you buy me drinks?
Yeah.
I always say no. They always ask me, and I always say no, right?
Right.
This kid came up to me, goes to me, can you get me a packet of wine gums? I sort of looked at him and I said, why? He said, I've been banned. So I thought, well, I'll go in, and because I know the shopkeeper, and I'll speak to the shopkeeper and see what he says. So I went in and spoke to the shopkeeper. I said, have you banned them? So he said, well, I haven't. He said, but somebody might have. Who is it? So anyway, he saw him. He said, well, as far as I know, no. So I said, well, let's see if we can get him to apologise. I'm just a bit naive. Anyway, I'll get to the end of the story. Anyway, so I went outside and I said, I'm sorry. I said, you can't get the wine gums here. And I gave him his money back, right? Now, the point that everybody around me is saying, right, he gave me 40p, I gave him 40p back. Right?
Yeah.
So I said, if you apologise to the shopkeeper, I'm not going to name the shopkeeper, he will let you buy the wine gums. Anyway, so this kid said, well, I haven't done anything wrong. So I said, well, you obviously have, because you're not going in there to get them, okay, and you reckon that you've been banned. Anyway, so he said, no, I'm not. Anyway, then the abuse and the swearing came out of his mouth like you'd never believed. So anyway, I just said, oh, forget it. So then I sort of apologised to the shopkeeper, and I walked on and he walked on. Coming home, I'm thinking to myself, what proof have I got that all he gave me was 40p? And apparently he's a real troublemaker in the area. He can turn around and say he gave me a fiver. I've got no proof.
But then neither is he.
Yeah, but the police always take kids' parts in it, don't they? If it's a child against an adult, they always believe.
Well, before
I've done something really, really innocently.
Yeah, before you told me what the outcome was, I'd expected it to be he was going to pull a knife on you, or something was.
Oh, the language was foul. It was absolutely.
Well, what's his problem?
Foul.
If he hasn't actually been banned, why didn't he get his own blooming wine gums?
Well, the thing is, I was so shocked because I expected him to say, "Can you get me some cigarettes? Can you get me some booze?"
Right.
And then I would have given a little lecture and walked on. But when he said what, he really threw me for 6. It was so, and I thought to myself, what proof have I got that, he can turn around and say, well, actually, I gave her a 5 or I gave her a 10 and all she's given me back is this.
And what you're describing, Morel, is actually, we have come to the point in this country when we are scared of the children.
I know. Well, this one apparently is a real little troublemaker in the area, but it's not one that I know.
But don't you find that just a horrific position that we've got ourselves into? We're scared of our own children in this country now.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely horrifying. I mean, I'm stupid to have done it, but it wasn't until somebody else turned round to me and said to me, never buy anything, because you have no, and, you know, and when...
But if you'd said no, presumably you would have got the mouth of abuse straight away.
Yeah, but I say no. If he'd have said cigarettes or booze, I would have said no.
Yeah.
I always do. They always come, I don't know why they come up to me, Nick. They always ask me to buy the cigarettes, and I always say no, okay? But he sort of threw me because he wanted something that was just a packet of sweets.
Well, maybe he thought there was actual wine in it.
Oh, I don't know. But anyway, I'm really worried now because I'm thinking, am I going to get a knock on the door and, you know, this kid turning up with his mum or the police and saying, he gave you £5 and you've given him 40p?
Yeah, almost certainly. They'll be suing you for compensation, Morel.
Say that. I'm really worried about it because everybody's telling me what a troublemaker this kid is.
Well, we'll start a whip round for you, all right?
Thank you very much. And the other thing, before I go quickly,
Yeah.
and it is ridiculous that I'm old enough to be his grandmother, and he's got absolutely, I mean, the language was foul. It was absolutely foul.
Nothing you haven't heard before, I
No,
bet.
it was. It was absolutely foul from a kid. No, I haven't heard language like that from a child that age.
Right.
And I'm always telling them off, and I've never got that sort of abuse. But the other thing about the drivers getting out and wanting to kill each other,
Yeah.
they need, right, I would, if I was transport minister, but I would give every driver a copy of Bob Marley's greatest hits, because that will calm you down in the car. I'm telling you. You'll be so relaxed, you'll be sitting on the M25 for hours, and you'll be listening to his voice, and you will be so chilled out, nobody will want to kill anybody anymore.
Groovy.
I'm dead serious.
Okay.
This two drivers nearly had a punch up in front of me today.
Well,
Because one cut another one up and they started getting out the car. I thought, oh my God.
You have actually hit on something there. I think that loud rock music makes me want to drive faster.
Yeah, it does.
You could say the same with, you know, slamming, banging, crashing. But if it's classical music or talk, in fact, like LBC, then you do drive much more calmly. But if you're listening to Van Halen, you're screeching away from the lights just to meet another set of red lights 100 yards up the road.
But it's something about, I mean, it's not every reggae star, it's just something about his songs, and it can be any of the, you know, his greatest hits or one of his albums. There's just something so soothing about
All right,
his
well, I'll
voice.
stick Exodus on my way home, all right?
Stick it on and you will never want to shout at a driver again.
Okay.
Trust me.
Thanks, Morel.
Take care.
Cheers, all right. Hey, by the way, can you buy me a packet of fags next time you go to the shop? Here is Loughton. Hello, Rebecca.
Hello, hi. Totally agree with that about the music.
It's true, isn't it?
Oh, totally
It
true.
really
My daughter goes to
affects the
sleep.
way in which you drive.
Oh, totally. Of course it does. Definitely. It's the music encourages you to behave a certain way,
Yeah.
and if it's classical, then I agree. You're likely to drive a little bit calmer than if you were listening to, say, rave music.
Yeah. Or this. I'd happily drive into a tree just to stop it.
Yeah, so would I. Yeah, I was calling about your caller about 4 calls away about Sesame Street.
Oh, yeah.
How she thought it had a good moral standing and her children watch it. And my daughter, I've got about 5 old Sesame Street tapes that talk about colours, language, mathematics. My daughter's watched them since she was about 1 year old. And the Muppet Show I used to watch as a child.
Yeah. But that was very violent, the Muppet Show. I mean, come to think about
this
it.
is what I was going to say. I've never seen a Muppet or a character out of the Sesame Street smoking, ever. I've never seen that.
No.
And they do have a good moral standing, but the main core of Miss Piggy's act
Yes.
is to beat the hell out of Kermit.
Of the poor frog. Yeah, you're right.
So how can that be good?
Well, it isn't, no. And the drummer was crazy.
But that's fine, but he's crazy in his own little world, so that's okay. And he's playing drums and he's doing something, so that's okay. He doesn't hurt anybody.
I'm sure they based him on Keith Moon.
maybe. But the main focus, I mean, Sesame Street is different from the Muppet Show because they're different characters. I've never seen any untoward in Sesame Street whatsoever.
No, that's all just about your ABCs. But you're quite right. The Muppet Show was very
based on
very
Miss
violent.
Piggy
Yeah, it was.
beating the hell out of
Yeah. It was an abusive, dysfunctional relationship between a pig and a frog. I mean,
Absolutely.
how disgusting is that?
Which I can understand from... I don't see why Sesame Street is going to be an 18. Maybe the Americans are getting a different version to what we are. I don't know. But the Muppet Show, excellent, apart from...
All the hideous graphic violence.
That one act, yeah. That one act, in which case I can understand that to show that to children is not exactly a positive message.
Plus the one with the hook nose, whatever he was called. He was always getting his nose
Bonzo.
squashed and, yeah.
Yeah, used to ride a bike and always hurt himself.
Right. But then you could... all children's entertainment is violent in one way or another. I mean, look at Tom and Jerry.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. That's extremely violent. But one of the recent programmes, which, what's his name, narrates, what's his name? He presents QI on BBC Two.
Stephen Fry.
That's the one. He narrates it, and it's called Pocoyo. There's absolutely no violence in that whatsoever. It's got a nice elephant, a nice bird, a nice dog, and a nice little blue character, and there's no violence in that whatsoever. So that's safe, that's new, and that's okay.
Right. It's not a yappy dog, is it?
But if you're going to look at any of the mainstream American cartoons or the Japanese cartoons...
Yeah, the Japanese ones just mystify me. I've tried to sit down and watch them and figure out what's going on, and it doesn't seem to make any sense at all.
I won't let my child watch the I don't know what cable channel it's on. I don't even have cable because I won't do it because
it seems to be like if you put a young impressionable mind in front of it, it would turn their brain to cheese whiz.
I mean, even the comfy Disney films like Snow White and Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty. At the end of them, they've all got a horrific witch. I mean, Snow White sends a guy off into the forest to take her heart out. You know, it's...
Yeah, and what kind of message is that sending to the young folk today?
Not good, but I think the cartoons that we're having today are a lot more blatant and a lot more visually expressive.
Well, I'm amazed that kids aren't falling down having fits watching these, especially the Japanese ones, because they just flash so much at you.
All I found out to say was Sesame Street was excellent. My child loved it as a baby.
Right.
It was excellent. I approved of it. The singing was great. The education was great. Muppet Show, when I was growing up, was great as a kid. But looking back now...
Too much blood.
Don't agree with Piggy beating the hell out of a frog, no.
Yeah. Plus, the union of the two is very suspect, I would think.
Yeah, maybe.
It's against nature, yeah. All right, thanks, Rebecca.
Okay,
cheers,
all right, bye-bye.
But that's absolutely right. The Muppets was full of violence, quite graphic, unpleasant violence. I mean, if Miss Piggy was supposed to be having a relationship with the timorous frog, then it was a very dysfunctional relationship. I mean, the frog
was funny.
Well, yeah, but the frog was very uncertain. And it seemed to be beaten both literally and figuratively.
Well, he was bullied constantly.
Yes, that's right.
But he was actually in control of that relationship.
No, I don't think so at all.
No, because she was, she would get jealous all the time, and he would just kind of like brush her off a lot of the time, but take the beatings.
She was one crazy pig, come to think of it.
But quite classy.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and she has to be one of the most dysfunctional people. Listen to me now, people that have ever appeared on television. I mean, she was obsessed with this person that was not interested in her, and violent both to the object of her affection and to anybody else that came into her little satellite world.
He had no chance, really. He was only about a quarter of the size.
Well, exactly.
What are you saying about small people?
Nothing. I'm just saying he had no chance against a big pig like that.
If we really want to upset people, then we'll start singing Small People by Randy Newman. Everybody! It's 9:45. Here's Travel Now with Amanda Redman.
Great.
Nick Abbott.
Poplar. Hello, Andy.
Hello there. I was saying... When I was younger, we had things like Hector's House and Bar the Elephant.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was a sort of, all animals living together in
perfect harmony. Yes. No violence involved. No. Mary, Mungo and Midge.
Yes.
And the only problems that they encountered was that the poor little mouse couldn't reach the buttons on the lift. Yeah, it was a more innocent period.
Very, very much so. But also in terms of sort of fairy tale, I mean, the Brothers Grimm didn't really write children's stories. They were the sort of unedited versions, quite violent. In fact, very violent, even by today's standards.
Yes, but weren't they moral tales? Weren't they?
They were, yes.
In order to change the behaviour of kids that were going off the rails, they would tell them, don't cry wolf, and so on and so forth.
But they had some very, very grisly endings in them.
Yeah.
In the original version.
And in order not to come to those grisly endings, you would, wash it behind your ears and not eat too much and don't sleep in bed all day and so on and so forth. I can't remember many of them off the top of my head.
And another little known one in the original version of Gulliver's Travels in the book.
Yeah.
He gets when he's in Lilliput, he gets the equivalent of the worst possible sentence they can give him, because the royal palace catches fire, and he puts it out using the nearest available implement.
Which is what?
It's part of his body, which resembles a hose.
Right.
And unfortunately, in doing this, he exposes himself to the Queen. So although he's saved the palace by putting out the fire, because he's exposed himself to the Queen, he's ordered to be killed, I think.
Mm. That is serious.
Yes.
That's about as serious a punishment as you could get.
It is.
That was actually Ozzy Osbourne's excuse when he was found to be peeing on the Alamo. He was trying to put it out. All right, thanks, Andy.
Okay.
Cheers, ta-ra.
Bye.
Yes. But that's, but we do think that, when, in the sort of 60s, 70s, 80s, whenever you were growing up, the cartoons and children's entertainment in general wasn't as violent as it is now. But come to think of it, I'm not sure that's actually true, because the one that you do recall, and that is still as funny now as it ever was, is Tom and Jerry. And that was one violent mouse. I mean, the cat was always coming off worse, and despite the fact that it was trying to kill the mouse at the time, it doesn't seem fair that it would have its little paws slammed in the window every time it tried to go through.
Well, that was the most... I mean, that cartoon was wholly based on violence, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that's one violent gag after another.
After the next, yeah.
And I'm laughing just thinking about it.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to get the right era of Tom and Jerry. It has to be 40s and early 50s. Once it got into... the chap that went from the Warner Brothers cartoons to then take over Tom and Jerry did a particularly bad job at Tom and Jerry. And was it Fritz Frelling?
Was that French guy?
No, it was one from the American Warner Brothers cartoons. He did the Roadrunner and things like that.
Okay.
Was that Fritz Frelling? Anyway, the chap who did the Roadrunner and some of those iconic classic Warner Brothers cartoons went to revive the Tom and Jerry franchise, and you can tell that it's one of those Tom and Jerry's the second it starts, because the beginning is slightly different. It's different in some way, where the mouse kind of spits a bit at the beginning, where they're putting the Tom and Jerry logo over the front thing. Turn that off immediately if it comes on, but from the 40s and 50s, it's still the funniest stuff that's ever been made. That and Laurel and Hardy.
I didn't get Roadrunner, did you?
Yeah. Well, the key with Roadrunner is that you have to wait till because the Wile E. Coyote will fall from a cliff and then splat on the ground, and you have to wait until he gets up before you hit him with the rock that's followed him. At the point at which it's funniest, because he thinks he's got away with it.
Mm. But I always felt sorry for him, and I hated the Roadrunner.
Well, yeah, the Roadrunners didn't flesh his character out enough to actually care about him.
He's just smug.
He wasn't very endearing.
No. But I suppose that's it's the only character in that was Wile E. Coyote, and you always felt Well, sorry for him is a bit strong, but...
Well, I did feel sorry for him.
You were
felt sorry
rooting for him, really?
Yeah, he's such a sad face every time that he just wouldn't give
He
up.
was nice.
And his little ears would droop, and then his nose would just droop as well at the end, in disappointment.
The other one, I think, who was smug was that bunny, Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny?
I thought he was... I don't like him either. I thought he was smug.
Well, did you like the Marx Brothers? Because he surely was, Groucho Marx.
I don't know.
You don't know whether you like the Marx Brothers or not?
I've never seen the Marx Brothers.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, I'm not.
Well, that's tremendous, because you have all of that great material to see for the very first time. I'm quite
Where should I start?
Quite envious, actually. Duck Soup.
Okay.
It's on... Yeah, I swear that you can barely go 10 days in this country without seeing Duck Soup come around and round and round. Turner Classic Movies. I bet it'll be on before the end of the week.
What, and Bugs Bunny's like one of them?
Well, Bugs Bunny, I'm certain, was based on Groucho Marx. Yeah, I'm absolutely certain of that. I mean, I haven't seen that on a documentary, but I'd be amazed if that wasn't the case.
And the way he chomps his carrot.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I suppose so, yeah. I mean, in fact, it's so obvious, it doesn't even bear, repeating. But no, have you just written down Duck Soup?
I have, yeah. How did you know?
Right. What else could you be writing down? Unless you're writing that down as a topic that we've discussed on this programme so far, for in preparation for the big list that you'll be giving me towards the end of the programme. You're looking horrified.
I am. I've forgotten to write a list.
You're kidding?
No.
Oh, no. Here's a mobile. Hello, Omar.
Hello. Hi, Nick.
How are you?
I'm not bad, you?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I was just wondering where you get all your sound effects from.
Well, a lot of them from the World Wide Wait.
Right. Any, in particular sites or anything, or?
Oh, not that I could remember off the top of my head.
Or do I just have to Google them?
Yeah, do a search on sound effects.
Right.
They're all up there somewhere, apart from the ones that I've made myself.
Okay. Well, you're sounding good.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Good flow.
Okay, cheers. This is LBC. 0845 6060 973 if you want to get in the last 5 minutes. I was talking about sneezing yesterday, because you sneezed? Or you were going to sneeze?
Yeah.
Right. You were going to, but you didn't.
I did sneeze twice, yeah.
Right. I hate that when you think you're going to, because you're ready for that orgiastic release,
yeah,
but then it never quite happens. It's always a disappointment.
Your eyes start going like that, don't they?
Sneezers, interrupters.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true. Well, it is true. There must be some sort of hardwired connection between sneezing and, you know.
Can I just ask your opinion about something else?
No.
Daffy Duck.
Daffy Duck.
Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Daffy Duck.
Is he like a Marx brother?
No, he's just crazy.
See, I like him, but not the rabbit.
Well, Daffy Duck is more about physical comedy, and Bugs Bunny was more about the comedy of words, I think.
Just smug, really. He'd always win, wouldn't he? He'd always...
Yeah, that's the nature of the bunny, yeah. Whereas Daffy Duck would often lose. He'd often get slapped so hard that his beak would end up facing the other way. Which is very, very violent, if you think about it.
That is pretty violent, yeah.
Oh, dear. Guess how many droplets are produced when you sneeze, you disgusting woman, you?
1 million.
Of course it's not 1 million. Don't you hate it when you ask somebody to guess and you think this is a massive number and they guess so far over the number that the actual number seems microscopically small by comparison? No, it's not 1 million. 40,000 droplets.
Is that all?
Guess how far those droplets are propelled when you sneeze in
I'm
feet.
too scared to guess.
32
Miles.
feet. 32 feet. Isn't that horrible?
That's quite impressive.
That's
far away
staggering,
are we?
actually.
Bit shorter than 32 feet.
Yeah,
isn't it?
well, a person is 6 foot long,
About
and
20
6'6"
foot away?
is a 36. Huh?
About 20 foot away from each other.
Yeah, not far enough.
What speed? Did they calculate that?
Oh,
as
I'm
well?
glad you asked me that. The fastest recording sneeze was?
Am I guessing?
Yeah.
5,000 miles an hour. I don't know.
103 miles an hour. The average speed is between 80 and 100. This is incredible, don't you think? No, not remotely interested. The longest recording sneezing fit? Sometimes like when I get hiccups, which happens all the time, I think, oh God, I'm going to be one of these people who hiccups now for the rest of their lives. I had no idea that there was such a thing that could equally happen to people who sneezed.
Is there?
The longest recording sneezing fit, 978 days.
That's 3 years, isn't it? 3 and a bit years.
You'd be dead at the end of that, surely. You'd have died in ecstasy, but you wouldn't have any energy to do anything else.
How would you eat?
Well, I don't know. Messily. You'd have to keep chasing your food and shoveling it back in. You'd have to eat in a very small room, because running 32 feet every time for the same mouthful over and over. Pope Urban VIII tried to ban sneezing in the 17th century because it was considered too close to sexual ecstasy. So I'm not alone in thinking that.
Doesn't it release the same chemicals or something? Or similar chemicals?
It does in me, yeah. It is apparently against the law to sneeze in church in Omaha, Nebraska. Against the law. And, as I said yesterday, always sneeze into your elbow. And by this method, I am helping London. Because the one way in which colds are transmitted more than any other is through droplets in the air or on your hand. People sneeze into their hands, and they hold the hole on the tube, make it slimy, somebody else holds it, and rubs their nose.